So this is a typical installation that was below water level. The AOP, don't put the AOP below water level, because the Venturi, when you switch off the pump, you get pressure deposit, pressure on the Venturi, and the water will push back up and the water will come into contact with the electrics. There is a little non-return on the Venturi, and it works 95% of the time, but you need 1 grain of sand and it doesn't seal tight anymore, and the pump is off for 12 hours, you get the water pushing back. So the AOP above water level, all the others can be below water level, no problem. Answer that you vraag. Okay. So there's your old check and the ionizer. In this case, 2 pumps. The tech is running on the rim flow, the ionizer is running on the main filter system. Always remember, if you have a rim flow with a separate pump, you need to disinfect that as well. Otherwise, you only have half the filter. In this case, 3 pumps, ionizer, and your rim flow with a tech. Let's say 304 tech. Your 316 is blue and your 304 is black. Okay. That's a full done by Bonnet Pools. Look at that beautiful thing there. There is quite a big pool. That's a tech and ionizer, and tech and ionizer. So here you can, it's about 200 kiloliter pool that we're treating there. Same one, there's a long pool there. You can see all those beautiful ones. You see what he did there outside? Easy, some works.
Yeah.
Is that power pack removable off of the...
Yeah. But this cord is quite short. Okay, that's displayed in the Netherlands. Back to us. What I wanted to show you, all of these pools are running on UV that you see here. You see that? That one, for instance, is right just above it.
It's better to see it now, you can see it.
Yeah. This is the gym in Worcester. Plaxenham is the gym. We walked in there the first time, and it was one of those where that pool smelled just clear up. That's exactly the opposite. But now, look at what it did to the steel structure. Now, if that does that to the steel, you can see this one was fixed and it's again looking like that.
Oh my word.
What does that do to your body? Listen guys, if you look at this, I think by next week you should get to every commercial pool, indoor pool in your area. I'm serious. So, Johan het met sy spesiale vorkbakkie gaan aflewer. Ja, ek moet dit doen met daai vork. Check out voete.
Sorry.
En okay, that's the factory in the Netherlands. Sien ons fabriek is reg in Nederland hoor. Beloof. We'll get back to the gym now. That photo was taken with a Nikon camera, one of our reps. The pool was 6 months in operation. No, sorry, 6 years in operation, and they'd seen no chlorine.
Wow.
I mean, look at the cubic chlorine part at the back there. The blue, obviously, that's, the pool is blue, and it's got blue lights in the pool, so that's giving you that beautiful effect. But there's no photoshopping. This is a raw photo as it was taken with a normal Nikon camera. we will get back to the gym somewhere in this week. You see, it was taken with different phones, different cameras, so the file name is different. That's the installation for the pool you just seen. That one, let me go back now. You see that one is sitting there inside that little box. You get with your ionizer, you get these strips. You've got to do a test dip every 2 weeks. Because if you continue to dose copper, you will overdose at some point. So after 2 weeks, the lights turn off. The display on the power pack turns off. The UV light remains on, but when the display turns off, it stops dosing copper. So you can get something. I've got this thing for 6 months, I've got no copper in my pool. What you do is every 2 weeks you go and check if your pool is pregnant. You do it. You dip this in the pool, it will give you your pH, your alkalinity, and your copper. You want it between 0.4 and 0.7. On the power pack it's a plus and a minus. If it gets close to 0.7, you go minus, minus, minus. If it gets close to 0.4, below 0.4, you go plus, plus, plus. If you don't press one of those every 2 weeks, it will turn off the display and it will stop those in copper to prevent your pool from getting stained.
The UV light will stay on.
The UV light will stay on. Yeah, let's open the door. Okay, I want to get back to the gym. What's everything gym for this? This procedure is done. There is your flow switch. Plug it in. You see, there is the Pentair pump with the on-off button on the pump itself. That's where the problem, and these are the problem sites. You can see your space. That is a million. These photos for a video that met uitgesny word, I was not allowed to take these photos. That is a million rand pool you're looking at there. Look at the finishing on that pool. Yeah. That's what I'm not supposed to take. The interesting thing is this is all done with mosaic, not one tile, not one little block was shaved or cut. That's the level of detail we have. It's everything full sheets. Okay, that's your. Yes. Iemand was dit is voor die foto's dan. Ons dit was het blijven volgen. Nee, dat is een goede idee.
A lot of the pool owners don't get told about the copper dat hij afzet. Ja, maar ik water die ding al voor hoeveel jaar? Maar heb je die copper verteld? Nu had hij al na de eerste 2 weken afgezet. Hij had dan na de eerste 2 weken afgezet. Hij had nooit die copper gezet.
Ja. Ja, wel. Dat is altijd slow as a thing. Okay, there's your steel structure again. There's UV delivery again. That's the pool. I was there. This was 9 months after installation. And I took that photos with Samsung, another high quality one I had. Okay? And just to give you an idea, there is the UV, they still kept their chlorinators, and there's a little bit of salt in the water, so they start every 2 weeks, every 4 weeks, they start the chlorinator just for a little bit of residual chlorine in the pool. But I think 4 of those are disconnected now that I'm looking at. So there's the UV in line, a 2 kilowatt UV in that little space. That's 160 mil pipe. There's the controller. These are zillion things you set on that thing. Start, ramp ups and ramp downs. It doesn't overheat, and temperature sensors and all sorts of things to protect it. So it becomes quite an interesting operation with the PLC. There you can see ready, start flow, warming, alarm, urgent alert, whatever, it gives you all sorts of. And that photo, we went up to the first floor where they've got the kettles and stuff, and there's a glass So I took that photo with this Samsung through the glass from the first floor. That's what the pool looked like 9 months after the installation of the UV.
What would be interesting to know is how much, if you go back to management, and say how much have you saved on chemicals and stuff?
You must actually get those figures here. I'll fully agree. But now, with that in mind, we should not have indoor pools with chlorinators or chlorine anymore. They should all have our UV systems on there. We've got the case study. We've got to get it out to those guys. You're looking at the cost of installation. Today stands probably 300,000 to 400,000 rand. I think Standard Bank by finance that cost as well.
How often are those UV lights replaced?
At 16,000 hours.
And cost on the bulbs on that size?
Ja man, nu de trucvraag worden. Ik denk dat je kan op zijn buis lezen.
Yeah, but if you just take the damage to the structure, you know,
So if you have to repair the structure, you could.
yeah.
Yeah, but also, what does that do to clients?
No,
Clients come in and
absolutely.
they see that rusty
Yeah,
stuff, that,
yeah.
I don't want a gym here, the
Yeah.
place is falling apart.
And you know that smell that we all talk about. Like if you beat your kid's gala or something, you can't sit there. Well, I can't.
No, you can't.
We take kids to these water parks that are enclosed. I just won't go. When my kids were little, I wouldn't go because I can't stay in there. And so you can change that whole dynamic around.
Maar nou, dink aan as jou vir ons 'n swemskool nie vrot na daai goed nie. En sy begin bemark hulle swemmende varswater omgewingsveilige swembad.
Dis 'n plan.
Hoeveel meer voete trek jy? If you have 2 gyms in town and the one smells like that and the other one doesn't, so where are you going to go?
Voor mense wat in een vlek.
I always thought you're an narcissist, now I know.
Just the comfort of knowing that there's disinfectant in the water.
You know all the side effects.
We won't be swimming in the gym anymore. Yeah, like how
So
you know it
we
has
find
been
it
disinfected.
work.
So heel lang met Felix Simpson.
Die is wel groot is.
En hy
Ek sal wel uit-
trekkers in van China. En hy sien dat jy nou bly daar in die voorstel en dan sê Felix
you can
is
see that,
daar stel dan word ek kry weer Felix. Kom na agter maar dis dit in die water.
Unhealthy pool.
Die vraag nog
Ek weet
gestaan.
nie hoekom nie. Onthou, daar is 'n gister was hulle is
It's got the chemicals in it.
But I mean, if you
That's
use
what we
chemical
do.
compounds,
Hy sê mens raak biological. Sê dit dan.
Dis maar die rond
Ek sê dit is 'n paar rand.
it's gonna be
Hoor gou hierso.
so.
Hoor, almal net gou-gou. Jou UV kos hoeveel? Dis nou vir 'n skool. Die UV kos hoeveel?
Omtrent die USA
600,000 rand. Hoeveel spandeer hulle per maand op kloor? 30,000 rand. 20 maande die UV betaal. Waar is dat vir 'n ROI?
Just quick on the lamp, 325 watt DG lamp.
Nee, daar is 'n 2 kW.
Ja, nee, is nog goed. Maar ek wil net die indikasie van die prys gee.
Nee, dis heeltemal verskillende UV tegnologie. Dit gaan nie naby wees nie.
It doesn't scale.
It doesn't scale. Dis heeltemal 'n ander tipe tegnologie. Daai 320 watt is so lank lamp. Daai 2 kW is so lank lamp. Dis heeltemal 'n ander tegnologie, heeltemal 'n ander driver. So dit gaan jou geen reference gee nie.
I think
I
that's,
haven't replaced that lamp yet, so I don't know what it costs.
so, yeah, I mean, that kind of information is very important for us to go, if we're going to go and talk to people. And say
Yeah.
to them, listen,
Yeah.
this is what the unit costs. And then the eye goes, well, what does it cost to replace the globe after 16,000 hours? And you sit there with a mouthful of teeth.
Yeah, but what we do is let's get the UV spec. You bring us the size, because they now need 2 for that pool, so it's bigger than this one, or higher body count than this one, because body count also makes a difference. Then we will, when we spec that UV, we give you the spares list with it. That's the easiest, because there's so many of them available.
Yeah.
But if you look at the sums, your 16,000 hours should last you at least 2 years. At least. That's running 24/7.
Yeah.
Paid for the.
If it runs less,
before-
it's more.
Before the lamps come.
The UV is paid off before the lamps go. And then you only have the cost of the land.
Every 2 years.
Every 2 to 4 years. So your saving is there. Well, exactly how much, we will look at the size of the UV and these things, that's a relatively new range for them. If it's a new range done in the last 5 years. So I'm not 100% up to scratch with all the possibilities, but they are. So with these things, I'm not going to speak it, he's not going to speak it, we're going to speak direct with the guys because they're constantly busy with product development on those.
But Karen, I think Barry's making a very good point here. So maybe, so for you guys to know, we're busy putting together, like we've done with the Fusion, we're busy putting together this as a case study. And in that case study, it might be worth our while
To mention the figures.
to put the numbers
Yeah.
down as an indication. So it doesn't mean your swimming pool is going to cost you exactly the same, but this is more or less what happened on this pool.
Now, as clients say,
Yes, yeah. Your pool might be different or whatever, but I think that's maybe something we should do.
Yeah. Okay, kom ons dan met dit.
I just want to ask one last question, and I might have just missed the explanation of it, but the copper parts in some of the UE things, how often does that need replacing?
It lasts twice as long as the lamp.
Oh, okay. That's
But you, qualities. Because that's very important. Time permitting, we're going to do an installation one as well for the guys that has never done installation before, and we can look at maintenance if needed. But this one is, by the way, CPD accredited. SACA and EXA guys get 0.3 points to go through this thing. If it's a 3-hour interactive, we're not going to do it in 3 hours because you know the basics. And then PIRB is 1 CPD. So while I'm doing this, keep it in mind that you guys can use this and you can now get architects and engineers together. They come and listen to your CPD talk. And they get points. Normally people charge for that. I don't charge for it. If I do it, then I even feed the guys. So they love it getting it for free and food. But then you speak directly to the specifiers. Okay. That I think it's about June, July when this thing expires. But we can obviously apply for renewal. And I think the renewal, there will be a few updates as well on. I can't change this slideshow now because that is approved as is. But we can do a few updates when we do the renewal. But now you have a few months left, so keep in mind, let's keep the CPD guys out there. Okay, dus dieselfde as jy by architectsfirma kan vat jy hierdie spesifieke slideshow en sê vir hulle voor die tyd julle gaan 0.3 CPD kry moet kom kyk. Jou audience raak groter en baie mense kry dit. Okay. So we're going to touch on why on-site treatment makes sense, SDG, ESG, legislation, working with municipalities, and then going to the case studies. I did this specific one in Bloemfontein, and about a quarter into this thing, I had an architect putting up a hand. He said, "This is all text. I'm an architect. I'm visual." I said, "Just hold on, we're getting to you in the second half." Then we shove the engineers aside and we talk pictures. Okay, so it covers all of that. Who's familiar with SDG, Sustainable Development Goals? You are. Nobody else. Okay. Who's familiar with ESG? Okay. What I'm going to do is take just a few minutes quickly on that before we go into the slideshow. Nora, I'm going to ask you to give a short brief of what SDG is. And I'm going to ask you to do a short brief on ESG. Okay, so just to get everybody up to speed. Go for it.
You was more what they are. Sustainable development goals.
Environmental
Yeah,
sustainability.
I just know it's sustainable development goals, and then I think there's I know 6 is for water. This is for these are the sustainable development goals by the United Nations, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you have different ones. I know 6 is more for, I forgot, but I know it's has to do
Okay.
with water, and then there's also the sanitation one as well.
In short, what it is your SDGs is set up by the UN, and that's getting implemented worldwide. And especially your corporates need to get certain scores, there's certain
Yes.
targets they need to meet on the
And
SDGs.
it's also got to do with the environmental, because we've got a lot
Yeah.
of that, where specifically on mine and that.
Yeah,
When you're doing a feasibility study,
you're going into your
Yeah.
environmental side.
environmental studies,
And the same with your solar farms and all the other
and
guys.
we work with it a lot because, let's take for example, we're running mining into Uganda over the next couple of years. The first thing I'm going to say to any new person taking out a mining license, have you done your feasibility? Have you done your environmental? Because if you don't do that, you don't get your license.
Yeah,
Mm.
And
So-
it's even on any mine build, I'm talking any water treatment plant build, any landfill build that we've done,
Mm.
you have to have those studies done, and you've got to
Right.
understand what those studies are about.
so
And
your,
you've got to get it approved.
your
Yes, you've got to
SDGs,
get to a certain level. I think it's 6.
yeah, but I'm going to show you, there's 17 of them. 17 goals that people need to get to, but not all goals speak to everybody.
Mm.
This solution speaks to up to 15 of the 17 SDGs. About minimum 9, but up to 15. Normally, if you do education, for instance, you speak to 1.
Mm.
But we can speak up to 15 of your sustainable development goals. In other words, the guy spends money on our fusion system. He gets his water back. He doesn't have the pollution problem, but we help him to tick his boxes on SDGs, and that's got good value. Okay.
It's pretty similar to BE in South Africa. You
Your
don't tick all your boxes, you don't,
Yeah.
you don't quantify.
Now, they have another one, ESG, and I've done a very simple slide on that. Environmental,
Sustainable.
sustainable governance.
Social.
Sorry, social
Governance.
governance, sorry.
CSR.
Yeah. So you look at your environmental side, and all, even your, Chris, your exporters, because what happens on Global Gap for the farms, they are exempted from these carbon stuff because they also obviously have carbon take-up in the growth phase. But they're not exempted from ESG, they've got to do ESG. Environmental, how do you deal with the environment? Social, how do you deal with your social aspect? Now, firstly, your people on the site, on the farm, but then the bigger guys also need to look at the social aspect of the community, which he's very much involved in. And then governance, how do you govern this whole story? So it is very important because when you address those things, you make it a lot more attractive for those guys to spend money with you. Okay, whoa. Kan ons net een meeting nou asseblief? Hierdie side meetings gaan nie werk. Maar dan hoor jy daarna mis jy wat hier gebeur. Daai tyd gaan nie vir So it is very important that when we speak to this, that we understand SDG and we understand ESG, because it makes your side a hell of a lot easier. Because those people need and they are monitored on those points. Because what does ESG do? First thing is you evaluate where you are. Then next year is what did I improve on this? And the following year, what did I improve on this? And the following year, what did I improve on this? And that's where we can help the guys to achieve their targets. Okay. So I've got one slide on each. I'm not a specialist on that, but I can give you an overview of what it is, and if needed, we can get the specialists in on a case-by-case basis. Why does on-site treatment make sense? I think we all know it, but I'm going to go through it anyway. You've got the water cycle, you have abstraction, you have treatment, you have the use, you discharge to municipal sewer that treats and discharges to the water course again. Now the guys in Gauteng are quick to tell me your picture is wrong, sir, because we discharge below the wall dam. I said, yeah, that's no problem. You're only polluting all the other dams downstream and the water for all the farmers downstream. And once in Johannesburg, I said there was an audience of more than 100 people. I said, who of you by show of hands will agree with me if I say eating healthy is good for you? And everybody raised their hands. I said, who of you enjoy nice fresh grapes every now and again? And everybody raised their hands. I said, you guys think that you discharge below the Vaal Dam, you don't have a problem. Well, the E. coli that you put into the Vaal River ends up in Uppington. The farmers pump it from the Orange River, they irrigate their grapes, and you import the E. coli back in the form of grapes. Everybody was quiet. But that's the cycle. In Bloemfontein, the guys discharge upstream of their drinking water dam.
Well,
Reuse.
Yeah, that's good reuse. Probleem is, jy drink altyd jou eie bol en iets met anders.
Maak dit regtig saak.
Ja, ek wil jou net drink. Veral in die laaste 2 dae.
Ja, maar so. Jy wil nie naby kom nie.
Alright. Now the problem that we have, if you look at, we can use anyway but Gauteng as an example, is the pipeline between the dam, the treatment system, and you've got distribution up here. I didn't make it too complicated, but with the distribution, those pipelines are failing. The pumping stations are failing. The reservoirs are leaking. So what we pump here, we get about half there. The rest we don't know where it's going. Some may be meters not working, some may be water theft, but a lot of it is leaks. So that's the first problem. We sit with a lot of water here, but we don't get it there. Then our municipal treatment works don't work. I think it's 78% or something of them that fail. They don't make their standards, and you'll see in the upcoming slide. So we pollute our own drinking water. Sorry to be blunt about this, but we literally shipping our own drinking water. That's what it is. And this is where we can make a difference. Now, with on-site treatment, we take what we have on-site, we reuse it. This slide is designed for in-city, where people do have fresh water supply and you have a municipal discharge. Off-site, like your lodges and mines and stuff, you have to treat everything on-site. You cannot select because you've got no other option. But if you look at in-city, we abstract, we treat, we get it to the point of use. What we can, we reuse on-site and we put it back into the building. What that does, it gives us increased water resilience. You see, I think I told you that I spoke to somebody on LinkedIn and, 2 weeks ago, and by then they were 9 weeks without water. 9 weeks without water, you close down your business. Some. How do you keep your staff on site? Or you pay the truck mafia? If you have water on site, you can treat it and at least put it back to toilets. You know your ablutions are sorted. You don't have to buy water for coffee and so forth, but at least your ablutions are sorted, which is very important.
And then you're putting the grey water back out again where?
No, we put it back to
Putting
toilet
it back
flushing.
into the...
Back to toilet flushing. We'll see when the case studies come up. Now we reduce the amount of discharge that we have to the municipal system. So we reduce the pollution of our river, but you reduce the pollution twofold. The one is because your stuff is not all going down there anymore, so it's lower volume. But because of the lower volume, you have longer retention in the municipal plants, so the air quality coming out of them will improve. So it's a double win. We were just skinnering about here. This is the stuff that you came for, my dear. So, because we have reduced abstraction, remember those places going without water for weeks at a time? We now use less water, so we give the system a chance to recover. But very important, it affects everybody. Because you run a business, you have 1,000 people on site. That 1,000 people uses how many liters per day to flush toilets? 6 liters a flush, that's already 6,000 liters.
12 to 18 liters per person.
Say again?
12 to 18 liters per day per person.
12 to 18 liters per day per person, so it's 15,000 liters just on the toilet flushes that they use. Now, if you can use that, do that with recycled water, that means you've got 15,000 liters a day that you're not taking drinking water and flushing it down the drain. Literally. 15,000 liters at the average of 200 liters per person for suburban areas. You're looking at 750 people that can now have access to water that wouldn't have access to water otherwise. Or if you go to 100 liters in your or informal settlements, it's 1,500 people that can have water that would otherwise have dry taps.
It's a massive impact.
It's a massive impact. So your impact is not just for you. Your impact, you're doing in a social here
The ripple.
without spending money on social. You're getting the benefit of what you're doing, but you've got a huge social impact. The ripple effect of this is absolutely massive. Chris was talking in Uppington, they had no water for 2 weeks, people's gardens died. The problem is to re-establish that garden now. It's going to cost that guy, what, $500,000? And if he doesn't spend that, the value of his property drops, because the garden sells a house. So the chances of that guy, and I can tell you, I've seen it in Stellenbosch, 2017. I couldn't even get quotes out fast enough, let alone all the projects. One of my customers, he was an existing irrigation customer, just to give you an idea, if I must come give him a quote, his garden's going to die, and the garden can't die. He doesn't want it, but the lady most definitely doesn't. So he wants rainwater harvesting and grey water and whatever else I can do for you. So I got there, we discussed what we can do, but it's a difficult place because the laundry is that side, the bathrooms are this side, the gutters are all over the place because the house wasn't designed for it. But we've got to do some pumping and stuff, we can get everything to one place. He phoned me the next day, where's my price? I said, no, I don't have time. He phoned me the following day, where's my price? I said, I'll get to you. I haven't had time. Okay, forget about the price, when do you start? 130,000 rand job, grey water and rainwater harvesting.
And that's on a normal household.
That's a normal household. His was that expensive because of the difficulty of the site. We did the job without a quote, and he paid the same day he got the invoice. He was so happy that his garden was not going to die. That's where the opportunity is. Ja, jy gaan iemand kry wat op pensioen is en hulle het nie die geld daarvoor nie en hulle kom net nie weer. Dis okay. Maar hoeveel ouens is daar wat wel geld het, en wat wel sy tuin behou en wat nie kan alwater het nie. Meerderheid van die dorp. Daar is jy aan.
En iemand soos 'n guesthouse behoort dit nou eers te kan finansier.
Guesthouse behoort te kan finansier.
And a mine sells it to the camp and a mine sells it to the community.
Exactly.
Because they've got to uphold the community.
They've got to uphold
That's
the
where the CSR comes in.
Remember, all your corporates have got to spend money
On CSR.
on CSI. Some people also call it corporate responsibility. All your corporates.
Can I
So
explain how we as a mine get that money? He's my supplier. He bills me for it in his quote to me, the 0.5%. I send him a letter 6 months later saying, pay back to the mine. But it comes out of your profit. Don't see this profit when you get it.
Yeah.
I've already included it in his cost to, on any of his equipment he's supplying to you, the 0.5% you get when I pay your bill. Keep it. Don't spend it, don't think it's profit, you've got to pay it back to them.
Yeah.
And that's how the money comes in to support corporate responsibility.
Mm. Okay. Why belongs? So why does treating wastewater on site make sense? Lower carbon footprint. We briefly discussed that with Standard Bank yesterday. Whereas ZF4000, if you're sitting in Pretoria, can give you up to 100,000 rand a year back in carbon taxes and himself. Quite a bit.
That's just for one plant.
That's just for one ZF4000 on a domestic setup. On a commercial setup, it's half that. Because your waste stream
Commercial setup will
multiples. Reduced pollution of our water courses speaks for itself. Reduced potable water demand increases water security for all. We've spoken about that. Increased water resilience on site. Now again, if you don't have toilets, how do you keep your staff on site? Now you can keep them on site, the operation can continue. It was Standard Bank, the operational side, the facility side. I had a meeting with them and I could see these guys, it's another water saving kind of thing, you know. And when I started showing them the case studies, the chap said to me, wait, Gareth, wait. You're not just talking water saving here, or money saving. You're talking ensuring continuation of operation. Normally, if I spend money on continuation of operation, it costs me money, like security in those things. But you're talking about ensuring continuation of operation and you save me money. You're onto something here. And that sparked the conversation that led to yesterday's meeting. Ensuring continuation of operation so you can keep on making money while you're saving money on water. And we've seen that in the Cape, in shopping centres with a drought. Shopping centres had at some stage closed toilets to save water. Where you would spend 3 hours browsing the shops. After an hour you now need to go. It affects the indirect. It affects the tenants. This is the field we would play. Cost saving, we've seen that yesterday. Increased ESG, SDG, and if you, I haven't read them, but somebody told me the new green building guidelines don't only look at power anymore, they now also include water efficiency. Okay, so some stage we have to stuur dit.
Ja, iets wat ek gemerk het is hulle volgende conference, Green Building Association.
Okay, so when you go green, you've got to do this. Let's look at the SDGs quickly. Now this one is one I need to change, but we can't do it now. If we say no poverty comes in where you do on-site treatment and you involve the community. Because you can now, there's two ways. The one is the installation, the maintenance, and the other stuff that you do. That creates jobs that speak to no poverty, but also if they use the treated effluent to plant something that they can sell, you have a sustainable income beyond that. So you speak to no poverty there. Zero hunger, if you use it to plant something that people can eat. And it's doable with proper disinfection. You speak to zero hunger. So you don't speak to zero hunger in your factory, but when you support the community. Good health and well-being. 2017, Ronald Macunia from the Department of Environmental Affairs said to me, Gerard, if we want to solve a health problem, we need to solve our sanitation problem. Because chemical toilets doesn't work. They're serviced on a Tuesday, by Thursday they full the truck, only come for servicing again next Thursday, and those other 5 days people sit behind them. That's what happens. But then kids play in the same area. Or they go to a nearby river, they sit near the river and you pollute the river or the water course. That's reality. Diepsloot in those places, that's reality. So if you want to solve, he said, if you want to halve the number of children ending up in clinics, we've got to solve the sanitation problem. Because that's the source of children ending up at clinics. So you speak directly to health when we do this.
Hammanskraal is a good case.
Hammanskraal is a good voorbeeld, but the way while polluting the river, I mean, it's a mess.
Yeah.
Quality education. I haven't done the studies, but I've read about it. Where they looked at schools where they don't have proper sanitation and they get proper sanitation, where the female learners will be there more often, otherwise they're a week a month they're not there. So you speak to education, the girls are actually at school and they get education. So you speak to that. Gender equality. We know what happens at night when ladies need to go. We give them proper sanitation. You can give it in the house. Speak to gender equality. Clean water and sanitation is rule number 6. Obviously we speak to that. Number 7 we don't speak to, that's energy. Number 8, decent work and economic growth. What are we doing here? Creating a network of people that's going out there, that's going to sell it, that's going to install it, that's going to employ people. So you create work, you create growth, you create economic activity. Right? Industry, innovation and infrastructure. I see this as innovative infrastructure. On-site, but it's innovative infrastructure. So we speak to that. The one I said I didn't speak to and Ashton corrected me is number 10, reduced inequalities.
Yes.
And he corrected me, he said, Gerrit, you directly speak to that, and I said, Ashton, you're right. So I'll take it on the chin. I can't change it now for CBD purposes because it's approved like that, but if we do an extension, then we can change that and bring that slide back in.
So we explain to them why.
Good?
I think you want to explain to them why.
You didn't explain.
Reduce inequality. Why would a system like yours reduce inequality? So we know that ladies bear the brunt of fetching water in rivers and stuff like that. So if this thing is brought home, then we have time to ourselves. Because let's say it takes 3 hours back and forth to get the water. There's cooking, taking care of the children. I mean, when do we work? When do we do our own thing? So if there's a solution for that and a proper water and sanitation, then a woman can do what a man can do, which is, equipping yourself, going to work, having what's this? Economic freedom.
Market sense.
Yeah.
There's something with you though, would you not also quantify for energy though?
We don't generate energy. We consume less.
Yes, but
Yes.
you're still saving a person money on the
On energy, yes.
on energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless we're doing something that's with the sludge.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's the
But if you get so little sludge out of the fusion,
Yeah.
that is not worth it.
So it's very little.
Yeah.
You're not doing nothing with the sludge, you're not putting it back into slurry. Thank you very much.
Okay. If you look at sustainable cities and communities, I don't have to explain that to anybody. Responsible consumption and production, because we reuse what we have, that's responsible production and consumption, right? Climate action, for all the right reasons. Life below water. We don't do anything below water, but we stop polluting the water. I've been told that the Henops River, the only live organisms will get in the Henops are bacteria and viruses.
Nice.
But the Henops feeds a crocodile, which is feeding the Harties. You've got dead, polluted water. So if we take that out, we can get hopefully more just rainwater in the Henops, and we can get it to recover. So we speak to life below water. Orange River, all of them. Life on land, obviously. You'll see in the slide coming up, like in the Namib Desert, the guys use the effluent to plant trees. So they speak to desertification. Life on land. Okay? Peace, justice, and strong institutions, we're not into that. Partnerships for the goals is the last one. What are we doing here? We're forming partnerships. Isn't that true? And we're forming partnerships with our customers. So we speak here to 15, and if we look at reduced energy consumption, then 16 of the 17 SDGs.
15 life on land.
Sorry?
Composting as well, that's life on land.
Life on land.
Even the Irene situation is life
Yeah,
on land.
that's life on land. So we're speaking to all of that. Which other intervention is going to give any business 15 or 16 points on the SDG score? I can't think of any. Hoekom gaan jy nou af? Hoekom breek jy
Load
dit?
shedding.
Any?
Ag, wena.
Wat het nou gebeur? Okay. This one is very simplified one. The SDG specialists are going to kill me for this, but not to get into too much on this. And I pretty much took the SDGs and tried to see how they fit into ESG. And you're welcome to shoot me down on that.
Social and governance, that's what it is.
So environment, you look at your reduced pollution, you reduce pollution of potable water, your carbon footprint, your life below water, your life on land is the environmental side of it.
Everything's environmental.
Your social is your dignified sanitation, your decent work, your gender equality, zero hunger, that's your social side.
And your governance, you're compliant to government and their restrictions. And
You comply with the government, but you're also bringing all of this together in one package. That's your governance. That's where you get your ESG points. Wat soms jou boere moet doen. Want as nou vir ons ordentlike toilette op die plaas weer. En so by the way, as jy ons het uitgewerk op 300 werkers, seisoenwerkers, wat op 'n plaas is vir 150 dae van die jaar. En jy vat nie die riool septiese tank toe nie, jy herwin hom, kan jy ekstra hektaar sagte vrugte plant met daai water. What's that worth?
And what's a sludge fall with? Or,
The sludge removal on this thing is very little.
no, but from an environmental perspective,
Yes.
where's your spill kits? Where's your... Gotta have them. You know, this is what you're saving.
This is what you say. Okay. Now I want to touch on the latest regulation promulgated 6 June 2025, and this is where Thomas should have been here, and you're going to educate him on it.
Yes.
Okay. Arme hierdie.
Hy is by die 7
Ek sal ook met hom praat volgende.
Sê weet?
Ek sal ook met hom praat volgende.
Praat jy uit met hom?
Ja.
Julle moet mekaar maar beklei oor wie kry kom, maar anyway. I'm doing this regulation in reverse. There's a reason for it. I first do the problem statement and then I come to the solution. The regulation is working the other way around. On the problem statement, it says 11.2, municipalities and water services authorities are prohibited from approving bulk user connections to existing water and wastewater systems without having the necessary capacity to service such user interconnections. This means that the municipality may not approve new additional bulk user connections to an existing water or wastewater system unless that system has the capacity to deal with the additional load.
What's that, about 15% of South Africa's Wastewater treatment.
That stops all development, and that's a national regulation. Okay? It further continued to say municipalities may not approve any new developments that will connect an existing wastewater treatment system unless such a system has the capacity to deal with the load. And the system doesn't mean the treatment plant. The system also means the conveyance to the treatment plant. So if your treatment plant has capacity but your pipeline don't, you're screwed. According to national regulations, you may no longer develop in that area. Done.
How would that affect if we're selling it to Angola for a building? We have to get it checked out because we're selling it to a local context. You may not know that.
You see,
This is South African.
this is South African legislation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? We're
Yeah,
selling to a building, and it's
Yeah.
a building that we made that offer to. With this. But they also don't know your product, you know what I'm saying? They
Yeah.
came up with a crappier product and we offered them your product.
We'll get to that. So see the case study.
The problem is, are people listening to them?
Well, they don't really have a choice. It's law.
Because you drive to Four Ways or
No, what you need to,
anywhere,
what you need to understand is this was only promulgated last year.
okay,
Now there's a period that municipalities will need to adapt and bring in their policy in line. So you've got that period. But everything you see in construction now has been approved before this.
but we all know there are ways around.
There are ways around, but that's changing.
Well, I hope so, could be.
Because there is new legislation at Parliament at the moment for consideration. And the new legislation, currently if things go wrong, the municipality is taken to court, the municipality gets fined and they pay that fine with tax money and then there's less money to do services.
Yeah.
So, the new legislation that's before Parliament as we speak holds the executive of the municipality accountable in their personal capacities.
Criminally liable.
Criminally liable. The municipal manager and the executive mayor will be criminally held liable in their personal capacities if they don't attend to this.
Negligence.
But do they attend to anything in any of our water treatment plants?
No, they don't, because there's no repercussion for them. On the new legislation, they will be
They don't even
taken to...
maintain them. I
No,
mean,
they
I
don't.
was part of building them 20 years ago.
No, they
And
don't.
they are not in the condition they were in when
No.
we built them 20 years ago.
But when this new legislation comes through, and it looks very positive at the moment, they will be personally held liable. They will be charged criminal, and they will be
So are you telling
personally...
me they're going to fix the Joburg water, they're going to fix the Percy Stewart, they're going to fix Sunfleet, they're going to fix... Where's the money coming from? It's in wouldn't get chocolate.
My dear, they will have to find a way or go to jail. That's, currently they're spending that money on other stuff.
Exactly, their houses and their cars.
Now they will have to find that money, get the job done, or they go to jail. That's what's going to happen.
Because, I mean, yes, you're bringing this in, and I can guarantee your corporate companies are all going to go for this because they're all in the same situation. They have to shut their business down the whole day. Melrose Arch, I worked in that building. How many days were we more off because there was no water to flush the toilet
Yeah,
than
but,
what you actually in the office?
yeah, but now, our job is to get this message to the professionals.
Yeah.
Because remember, the professionals need to uphold the law. Their designs need to be in line with the legislation. So when you get this to engineers and architects, then you'll really start forcing the hand of
You're going to
municipalities.
Gross Point, who owns 90% of the volumes in Joburg. Well,
Yeah.
I'm not sure the
The
data,
commercial
but
buildings, yeah.
Gross Point's one of the biggest buildings, and you
No, I
do
can-
you know that your buildings have to comply?
I can tell you this.
And they charge a phenomenal amount of rent.
I can tell you this. I've been in that meeting at DBSA with Dr. Sean Phillips there, with Jay there. They opened the meeting. And with SAPOA there. SAPOA is the South African
Property
Property
owners.
Owners Association. They are the guys that own the big commercial properties in the country. Dr. Sean Phillips said to SAPOA, I need you to get the message to your members that they must get off the grids because the municipality can't handle it. coming directly from the DG of Water Affairs.
But
That's
what-
how serious it
What's
is.
the Growth Point doing about it? They're your biggest property developer.
So you go and get them. I'm serious. You've got the tool. Go and get them. Now, Cape Town, I'm not going to spend too much time on that. They promulgated the SOP in August 2022 and they said for Zandvliet, Makassar and Potsdam, there's stop all development, you can't develop it. Well, that was 21. 22, they brought out the SOP for package plants. They said, okay, now you can develop, you put in your own plant, but when we have capacity, you have to take out your plant and reconnect. Who's going to spend 5 million on a plant, take it out and reconnect? So it took another round of negotiations. And they now says package plants don't have to be temporary, so you can now keep it. So they did this before the national regulation, but now it's in line with the national regulation. Cape Town further says if you do not connect to their system, they don't charge you the development cost, the DC, for sewage. They will charge you DCs for roads and power and whatever else, but not for sewage. Now, to give you an idea, I had a chat to developer 2 years ago, and he asked me how much does the fusion cost. I said, well, if you look at the cluster of 20 houses, install costs about 35,000 40,000 rand per house. He said to me, Gerard, but if I look at my DC and I look at actually getting a park to the council and the physical connection, it cost me 40,000 rand a house. So whether the guy spends that on a council connection or on-site now costing the same. He doesn't have to fork out additional money. Dan kan jy met ontwikkelaars praat. But dit beteken. He doesn't have to fork out additional money, just shift it from this side to that side.
And the ROI is...
And this, by the way, was now done in 2022, and as you'll see in 2023, that was actually confirmed with a High Court case.
Can I just point out that this is a Cape Town thing? Okay?
This is a Cape Town thing.
Yeah. So in Pretoria, they're still going to charge you.
No.
And in Durban, they're still going to charge you.
No. Watch what's coming up.
Okay.
Watch what's coming up. Cape Town also says they won't charge you for sewage on your utility bill.
I can charge you. You don't.
No. If you don't have a connection, they're not going to charge you sewage on your utility bill. And if you look at Cape Town's bylaw, Water Amendment Bylaw of 2018 says that all new developments and renovations must make use of water conservation and demand management system or alternative water source for non-drinking purposes. This is law in Cape Town. When you do a new development, you're not allowed to irrigate your garden with drinking water anymore. Existing ones may keep it, but new ones, or when you do renovations, when you submit a building plan for a development, you must have water conservation and demand management or alternative water for non-drinking purposes. It's a requirement now in Cape Town.
When was it passed? Was this post-regulation or?
No, this was 2018. 2018. Hoeveel ontwikkelaars moet hierdie goed in hê om aan daai ding te voldoen? Jy vat dit raak. And then Cape Town added another sweetener. Now it's not only for Potsdam, Zandvliet and Makassar anymore. It doesn't matter where you develop, you can now opt. So if you're in an area that does have capacity but you want to go off-grid, you can now apply. It's on a case-by-case basis. It's not granted to everybody just because. But you can now apply and say, I don't want to make use of your sewage. I want to do this. Okay. Now, just to give you an idea of what interpretation of legislation means. In the year of 2013, on the National Water Act, it says that wastewater irrigation, in terms of this authorization, is only permitted if irrigation takes place at least 50 meters above to the 1 in 100 year flood line, 100 meters away from a water course, or further than 500 meter radius from a borehole that is utilized for drinking water or stock water. So you cannot irrigate with wastewater within 500 meters of a borehole if it supplies drinking water or water to your animals. Now we've had developments, if you pin the bore or the wastewater treatment plant, whichever one, and you go 500 meters, you're on your neighbor's properties on all four sides.
Yeah.
So you can't develop. There's no sewage connection. What do you do? And we've had stuff turned down because I said, but guys, we deal with effluent here, but the effluent still contains waste, so it's regarded as wastewater. That's what the municipalities told me. So I got this to a senior person at DWS in the Belleville offices. And I said to him, that's what the legislation say, but if we deal with disinfected, treated effluent, that's not wastewater. And he responded and he said, if treated to general or special limits, could be considered under GA. Look at the standards required for those and those volumes. All of a sudden things change. The guy said, it still contains waste, so it's wastewater, you can't do it. Now water affairs, that was the municipalities. Now the water affairs said to me, now if you treat it to that standard, you do a GA application, general authorization application, and then you can do it. Provided you comply. The effluent complies to the GA standards. All of a sudden you open new developments. But that's interpretation, and we've got to be very careful of that interpretation, and I'll show you another one coming up now in a court case. And this is very, very, very important that you understand these things when you start talking to people. Okay. Here's the case study. This was in the Roosterstad. The Roosterstad, this was a homeowners association taking the municipality to court about solid waste removal. But the same rules apply for everything else. It's municipal services. So, municipalities, and I've had even other government departments coming up with this thing where Section 152 of the Constitution says municipalities have to deliver services, and that is then put into action with Municipal Systems Act, Act 32 of 2000, Section 73, says municipalities have to deliver services. So they interpret that the law and the Constitution says that only municipalities can deliver services, and they block you. Then the court says this is what municipalities need to do to give a minimum level of basic services. But then the Act also allows municipalities to outsource the service to a third party. But the municipality remains responsible that that service is delivered. In other words, if I'm the municipality, I outsource it to you, you don't do your job, I can't say, well, I outsourced it. The Constitution and Section 73 of the 2000 Act says, I'm still responsible. If you don't do your job, I must either get you to do your job or I must take that process over. Now municipalities say, I'm not going to allow you to put in a private treatment plant because that's a municipal service that is now outsourced to you. And if that thing doesn't work, I've got to take it over, and I don't have capacity to take it over, so I'm not doing it. You can't do it. That's what this means, man. You can't go anywhere. Agree? Okay. Now, the court said, and that's the High Court in Bloemfontein, December 2023, it's quite recent. Because the Act tells the municipality they have the executive and legislative competency of the municipality and not a right of the municipality. What that means is municipalities must deliver services, but they don't have the sole right to deliver services. You see the interpretation, how things change now. Now the Act goes further and says if a municipality is only allowed to get payment for services that it has rendered, coming back to Pretoria, If the municipality does not render the service of sewage treatment to you, they cannot charge you for sewage treatment. That's what the court said. That's not what I'm saying. There's the court case in front of you. In this case, it was solid waste removal done by the HOA. So the court said to the municipality, you will cease to charge fees related to refuse removal. I'm telling you, you're not allowed to charge because you're not offering the service. But I'm at the same time telling you, you will stop those charges. That's what the court said.
There's a second one recently with exactly the same result, which was in Pretoria.
Okay. So there we go. You've got this, you've got the negotiating power with the municipalities. All right. Then we had a government department for new development application who said exactly the same thing. Section 152, Section 73 of Act 2000, Act 32 of 2000. And then based on that, this national government department instructs the municipality and the developer to get into a contract that says if this private development with a private fusion on there doesn't perform, the municipality shall need to undertake the management and maintenance of the facility. And the municipality says we're not going to do it because we don't know what you're putting in. The developer's going to put the cheapest thing he can get. He knows it's not going to work and it's not his problem as a municipality. Now, according to the court case, that's wrong. That government department can't give that instruction. Then I got a legal opinion on that. And the legal opinion said two things. Firstly, separation of powers. The national department cannot instruct a municipality to enter into a service level agreement with a private developer. So that's illegal. The second one, they say if you build your plant and the municipality just come and take it over, it comes down to expropriation without compensation. They cannot just walk onto site and take over your property that you've paid for when you built the system. So that's wrong. What they can do is he can tell you, you are polluting, you're not up to standard, get your system right, and they can fine you and they can even close your site, declare it unsafe for human occupation. That they can do, but they cannot take over your private service. And I mean, a lot of municipalities are using that section 152 and section 73 of Act 32 of 2000. So, because they don't understand, their interpretation is incorrect. And we may need to train them to understand where we're going.
And then again, I think the further implication of that is the onus is on the municipalities, to ensure, that a proper system is installed. Then they can influence what type of systems
They can influence what type of systems because the municipality is legally responsible for the discharge quality that it doesn't pollute the river.
Yeah.
They've got to police that. So they can give certain instructions. They can say you don't put in a septic tank, for instance.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't do anyway.
Yeah. But that's why I say that's just an example.
Yeah.
Because the cheapest thing is the guy says, okay, then I'm putting a septic tank. I'm not going to spend money on a plant. The municipality said, no. Septic tanks pollute the groundwater. You're not going to do that. You're going to put in a treatment plant. They may not prescribe a brand name.
Yeah.
But they can tell you what kind of thing they will accept.
Yeah.
And then monitor.
It's already there by the way.
One guy said to me, he got an inquiry and the guy said to him, okay, what system must I install? He said to the guy, I can't tell you what system to install, but I can tell you there's a number of fusions running around here and they work. This is the state of our wastewater treatment plants, ladies and gentlemen. And the red is not just markers. Read. Blue is excellent, green is acceptable, yellow is poor, and red is don't go there.
Damn.
That's the whole country.
Now you read that with section 11 of the new regulations. It says municipalities may not approve any new development or bulk connections where their systems don't comply.
So in other words,
But
all
none of
red.
their systems comply. But
Oh,
this is
every
the
single
All the red ones,
Wow, yellow as well.
the yellow as well for that matter.
Oh my word.
Just out of curiosity, what are the pins in the oceans?
You know, dis wat ons al dis soos in die hele daai kant doen. That's island. But those guys don't comply. That's off Waterfair's website.
Yeah, it's a live dashboard,
Oh, word.
and it's the municipalities upload their own information there.
Wow.
So it doesn't, it's not by
it's
a
a one when you
release.
drive down the road and you see the sludge
Yeah.
coming out the gutters.
If you,
And you
yeah,
wonder where's the sludge coming from? Whose dam has pumped up some
This is
garbage coming
every-
out of it?
plant that pollutes a river.
Oh,
Okay.
now we know why we got potholes.
Now we have a problem. Because those guys may not allow any new development. What? No. We screwed. Okay. And then this one, there have compliances for Bloemfontein area. And you can see that's an equal mess already. But now, section 6. Now, to my mind, 6 is before 11, the last time I checked. 11 said you may not allow new developments if you don't have capacity, but 6, so they're not interconnected, okay? 6 says, a water services authority, that's your municipalities in most cases, may not unreasonably decline a property development to have a water efficient sanitation solution, waste, water, you'll hear waste often, water efficient sanitation solution, waste. Then people aren't talking about package plants anymore, they're not talking on-site treatment anymore, people now talk waste, that's the new buzzword. So tag it when you do your posts as well, waste, water efficient sanitation solutions. Water Services Authority may not unreasonably decline a property development to have a waste that is not connected to the central system, where the development will manage the system as a water services intermediary and where the water users of the system is authorized under the National Water Act. So what will happen is the developer will get into an agreement with the municipality where they become a water services intermediary. So the municipality will monitor the performance, and if the performance is not right, they can wrap them over the knuckles. That's the process. But the municipality may not unreasonably decline that. It comes back to Thomas. The guy said, I will not allow that. No, you don't have the authority to say that. Because the national legislation says you will not unreasonably decline that. You cannot force that guy to build a 3-kilometer pipeline to get to your network.
But they don't even allow us. I mean, I'm in that group, and it's a whole section of small holdings, and we about 50 meters below the pipeline. Okay? And a lot of people that's close to the pipeline, and about 5-10 meters below the pipeline, have asked permission to pump that 5-10 meters or 20 meters up. And the municipality doesn't even allow that, because that means our plots are 20 meters wide. Every 20 meters there will have to be a connection to the pipeline. So now you can imagine having a sewage pipeline that now has got a manhole every 20 meters. So they don't want to allow people to pump up.
So you go fusion.
So 8 of us already have fusions there. And our building plans have stated that it was approved. If you either have to have a conservancy tank or fusion.
Okay. So this is the good news. And remember, this is not connected to section 11 that prevent the guys from allowing development. So even where there is capacity, you can opt to do your own thing. It is not when there is no capacity they can allow this. It is they may not unreasonably decline this. And by the way, where there is no capacity, you're not allowed to approve treatment systems connections anyway. So this allows it everywhere and anywhere in the country under certain conditions. And the other section says, all those red dots, forget about municipal connections. So it forces people in this direction. Do you have any idea what this means for our kind of industry? And what that means for sustainability? Het ons daai gedeel?
Ja.
Ja.
Jy kyk nou met groot oë.
Nee, ek dink nou daar's 'n development wat kom by ons 265 erwe. Die munisipaliteit sê vir die ontwikkelaar, hy moet die aansluiting alles tot by die naaste sewage. Jy weet, pipelining lê, dit kos miljoene en miljoene.
Dan gaan jy terug na hierdie een. Wat hy aansoek doen daarvoor, want hy kry sy water terug. Die volgende vraag is, het die munisipaliteit kapasiteit om nog 265 huise by te vat in hulle plan? As hulle nie het nie, mag hulle nie so ontwikkeling goedkeur nie, tensy hy dit doen. Nee, jy sê maar.
Ek bedoel,
Ek gaan jou support wees. Jy is die local ou daar waar die mense ken. Okay.
And just to say, guys, there was a little thing on social media the other day where I commented on some stuff, and then Jay Bhagwan from Water Research Commission came through and he said, if you come across, because I was talking about the difficulties guys are hitting with municipalities, because half the municipalities don't know, but they've never read this regulation, you know. And he said, if you come across somebody that's really sticking, then get hold of the Jay Bhagwan at Water Research Commission, and he'll help sort it out.
Yeah, that's the director of coming director from Sean Phillips.
Yeah,
I was in that meeting. So they focusing. They set up the Water Partners Office within DVSA, and they're going to route it all through the Water Partners Office, and she's very much involved with it. Where that's what the Water Partners Office is there for, is to get these things accepted and pushed.
Yeah, because half the municipalities, the building inspectors or the water and sanitation, they've never even heard of or seen these regulations.
Yeah,
I promise.
But that's our job to get it out.
Yeah.
But start with the professionals that do the design, because now you hand in the design with this, and municipalities, no, say, here's the regulation. Sign it. Okay, you've got to do water service intermediate fee. Yeah, it's fine. Give me the thing, I'll sign it. Because that's a standard contract agreement. But then you've got to monitor and give them feedback and make sure it works.
Which is a good thing.
Which is a good thing. I love it. I know I've got plants in the field that pollute the environment because, like I said, that one, it was installed for 6 people, they're now 24, and the guy refused to pay for an upgrade. I want him to monitor it. I want him to find it because I want a bigger plant in here, not because I want to make money out of the bigger plant. But I know that guy is polluting the Franschhoek River, which is polluting the Berg River, which is polluting everybody else down there that irrigate from that system.
Then you get the municipality to pay.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's high development in the river as well.
Yeah.
Een van die systemen wat hydraulically overloaded is.
Hulle mag nie ontwikkel.
Mag nie, ja, sê jy.
Nee. Hulle mag nie aansluiting toelaat nie. Op hierdie regulasie mag hulle nie die aansluiting toelaat nie. Klaar.
En hulle het hulle eie ene wat hulle ontwikkel op met baie minder erwe. Dit is die munisipaliteit self. Hoe kan hulle hom aansluit?
Hulle mag nie.
Hulle mag nie.
Ek bedoel, dis 'n blok van my.
Ons sit nou in Matsikama. met areas wat hulle ophuise wil bou. Die Waterwese het vir Matsikama 'n brief geskryf en gesê, julle kan nie ontwikkel totdat julle rioolkapasiteit nie opgradeer is of julle alternatiewe gebruik nie. Klaar. Dan.
265 erwe.
Right.
Ek meen groot, party is plotte.
Wat is die
Nie
eerste?
low cost.
14 groot fusions is. Kom.
Ja, daar is jy terug.
As 'n
Who wants to go to America?
Kom, moenie weer met sukkel. Ja, ek wil amper weer van die nou. Het ons hom? Ja.
So, jy sê in Pretoria en Johannesburg sal jy nie charge, want as jy toestemming kry om ons kry baie kliënte wat kom en sê, soek een in 'n jaar van 'n tyd dorp. Soek een in 'n jaar van 'n nie meer aan vir die dorp betaal.
Kyk wat gebeur in Pretoria en Johannesburg, wat nou gebeur is, die heel eerste ding is jou riool is 'n persentasie van jou varswater wat jy aankoop. So as jy recycle, koop jy minder varswater aan en jy kry dadelik reeds 'n besparing. Dis die ding wat outomaties gebeur, sonder dat jy aansoek doen. Die volgende ding moet jy nou vir hulle sê, sny af my konneksie, want dis die enigste tyd wat hulle kan ophou om jou te charge. Solank as jy konneksie het, dan jy aan 'n charge, dan moet jy sê, sny af my konneksie. Nou, om dit deur te kry, gaan 'n fight vra. Die eerste een.
'n moerse fight.
Die tweede, derde, vierde een gaan makliker wees, maar om daai eerste een deur te kry en sê, ek betaal julle nou, ek gee nou vir julle, maar ek wil nou hê julle moet dit nou stop. Dit gaan 'n helse fight. Ek sê nie ou moet dit nie fight nie, ek sê nie maak jou reg vir 'n langdradige legal fight. Maar omdat jy reeds minder water koop, spaar jy reeds op jou water en jou.
I got
Okay.
my sanitation charge off my bill.
Ja.
Yeah, because we don't have reticulation network. So
Take it off.
this is in Pretoria.
Take it off.
Yeah, it's off. Yeah, we took it off. But then it was a fight. Yeah, it's not automatic.
So,
Ja, dis
if you need somebody to fight the fight for you, there's the lady. No, I'm serious. Dis hoekom ons hier is om te netwerk. As jy vas wat daar vra vir 'n Nora help my, en jy betaal haar vir haar dienste, en dan het jy 'n case study, dan kan jy na die ander mense toe vat. So that's what you do. Right?
I'll charge you.
She's got, no, but you
Yeah.
Nora
You're saving
vra,
him in the long run, so
Exactly, yeah.
he's willing to pay.
Nora vra R15,000 per uur, né? Ja.
So she's efficient, she can do it in 20 minutes.
Says your fraction.
Alright.
You don't want to have my underrated.
Is almal happy met hierdie gedeelte?
Ja.
Begin ons verstaan waaroor dit gaan. Dis ontwikkelinge by julle wat opkom. Munisipaliteit kan nie vir ons by julle.
Can I just suggest to everybody is, when you're talking with your clients, don't go into all of this in depth. Because you're just going to confuse them and you're just going to...
And they're just going to say no.
Yeah, suffice, just tell them legislation supports us using this. And it is new and we might have to jump through a couple of hoops with the municipality, but legislation supports us. And then
where you do want to communicate this in more detail is with your professionals.
Yes.
Because they need to write, the engineers need to put this into their services reports. And I think the engineers can in fact even quote this regulation if needed. Say, in terms of this regulation, we do the following. So that's why I say municipalities is one thing and they will resist this because they want the income. They don't look at what they spend. They're not spending money on this anyway. That's why we've got sewage in our roads. But they want the income and they want the control. So they don't want this. They're not going to push this now. But now we get to professionals because when a professional signs off, he's got to sign off according to what the law says. And the law says that the municipalities cannot allow. So, ons vriend kan nie eintlik afteken op daarin hy kan legally liable as 'n professional ingenieur. Okay. Maar as hy hierdie wetgewing volg, dan sê hy okay. So we start pushing this from the bottom and into the municipalities, where the municipalities don't want to take the lead.
And they can go to the municipality and say, how can you allow your own development?
To connect. They can't. They must do
Because they want theirs first to connect before they develop this.
Yeah.
Allow this other, they are
No,
trying
you
to
never
stall
see.
this one and push theirs first.
That one is hydraulically overloaded, they're not allowed to. National, you must always remember you have municipal bylaws. But they are on the hierarchy lower than the nationals. National always supersede. You cannot have a bylaw that supersedes national. So if national says no, and that's what they do, and this is not a concept, it was promulgated 6th of June last year. It's now national law. Klaar. You can argue about it as much as you like. If this had, I always take the worst case scenario. If this had to go to court, what will the court say? I'll say to the court, Your Honor, this is what the national regulation says. This is what I asked the court to uphold. The municipality is going to say what? No, we're going against the national.
They'll try.
And they're going to sit there.
Okay. Why don't people like on-site wastewater treatment? Because customers don't have the skill to operate the plants. Visual impact. You've seen some of these things, green tanks and containers or whatever standing above ground. Noise pollution with a lot of pumps running. Smelly. I've seen a lot of those. High maintenance. Poor effluent quality. Those GP ones. So what if you could solve that? And we solve that with the fusion. There's no customer intervention required. Remember when you guys install, you've got to service these things as well. Commercial sites, although you've got to do it 6 monthly, but commercial sites I recommend you visit every month. So you can see what's going on there, because you don't know what kinds of going, etc., etc. So you do an SLI once a month, you go and just check up that everything is fine, and once in 6 months you do a proper service. So the customer doesn't have to remember a lot of the other stuff. Bruce Johnson, he's long dead now, but he told me a plant that he sold before fusion. He said, you can get this system to work, but I've got to be there weekly to fine tune the system. If I'm not there weekly, it doesn't work. That's what customers don't like. On fusion, you set it, you leave it for 6 months. So they don't have to settle. No visual impact, it's underground. No noise impact, it's big. You've heard yesterday the noise. No foul odor, unless they kill the bacteria. Extremely low maintenance. And good effluent quality. Just for the new people here, you will see some documentation that says Clarus Environmental Fusion, and you'll say some Muscon Water Fusion. It's very simple. We started importing in 2010 under the Clarus brand. In 2023, we bought the Fusion from the Americans. So we now own the Fusion. And we manufacture it in South Africa. So for your local content, in South Africa since 2010, 100% South African owned, locally manufactured in Van Reinsdorp, more than 400 units in 10 African countries, and installation and service contractors near you. That's you guys here. Yes?
So if someone were to ask you, what is your lead time, what would you say?
Depends on what's in production at the time. It takes 2 weeks to build a unit. But if you tell me now you want a unit, my lead time will be 3 weeks because there's other stuff in production. It can be up to 6 weeks, depending on what's in production at the time. And also how many plants they want. Because they want 50 plants, it's going to take a little bit longer than one. Sorry?
Do you still have to like the fusion? Still the lead time as well?
Yeah.
Because I notice some products, especially Veolia, they get theirs from Hungary, and it's like 4 to 5
They need the product now.
And you're upping capacity at the moment.
We're upping capacity, we're doubling our workshop floor space as we speak. And keeping in mind that's with existing stock. I've had last year and January this year where I had a double shift running. So then we can do that as well. So there's ways.
One of the questions that I usually get asked.
I try to get it out in 4 weeks.
Yeah, sounds like you.
There's a few here and there that obviously you get certain times of year when there's lots of orders and you get to low areas. Like if you want a ZF450 now, single house one, if you pay me now you can have it, it's in Cape Town. If you want an 800 now, Yaku is not here, he's got stock for now, he bought 2 800s for stock. So if you want an 800 now, you can buy one from Yaku. So there are things that, but we don't generally keep stock.
But as a rule of thumb, it's 4 to 6 weeks.
4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
In real peak season, maybe up to 8, but then we bring in extra staff.
And add 6 weeks if you're shipping everything.
So,
Yeah.
another thing that I want to ask you is, let's say a client comes, they have in mind what they want, right? And based on your knowledge, you hear what they want and you can give it to them, but then you can actually give them something better, like
That's what
maybe
she did.
advice.
That's what we did. So, let me give you an example. We had a meeting with Harrow 2 weeks ago. We've never gone into this product in our industry at all. Within this week, we got an inquiry from our local content in Angola asking for a similar system, just didn't offer everything that Muslim offered. My MD went back to the local content and said, yeah, that's a grey water system they're looking for. We're offering, we can offer it because that's the first question they said is, can we do it? And we've never done this. It's never been part of our scope of work to do. We put landlines, we put power plants in, oil, gas, water, you know, the power plants. But we've never done water treatment in the sense, we do water, but we don't do water treatment. And that's where we're turning around to offer a similar situation to the water industry. And I sent this back through, this is what they've got through to me, and I said, already my MD had said, because he had had the meeting, yes, we can do this. We know nothing about it. We've never been involved with it. Gave this through to him, and we got a quote out to him within a day. And we've already got agreements coming in on that quote within a day because we're financing even our company, the company we're selling it to, and they're going to try and get their money out of it so that I can pay him. And we've got the capital behind it because of the kind of company we are. You know, we have, on the type of projects that we do, we've got to have the capital behind it. But that's exactly what happened with us. We've never bought this.
Very important on your question is people ask for something they know. They cannot ask for something they don't know. So they come to you with an inquiry and they basically put down what they know and what they think they need. But now it's up to us to then do a bit of education and say, okay, this is what you're asking for. However, I suggest we approach it this way because if we approach it this way, these are the benefits that you will get.
The reason why I'm asking is that the inquiry that we were doing now for that 750 kilometers for the mine, because they want an MBBR, right?
MBBR is fusion.
Yes, but you're saying that they say they have a leak and cannot detect where it's coming from. There's some sort of chemicals. So you said that we have to have some sort of pre-treatment and precipitate because over time it will hurt the system.
Yeah.
So for them, it's outside of their scope. It's something that you have to bring forward to the client. Like, how about we then start by doing this before the thing that you're actually asking?
Yeah, you give them a turnkey. You give them a total package. That's why I run out his granddad is the guru on wastewater treatment in South Africa. Then we ask him, Andries, Mark, and you work hand in hand with him.
Okay.
Okay. Right. I'm not going to spend too much on the biological process of the fusion. I just want to say it consists of 3 components. The bioreactor that is usually underground, but it doesn't have to be. The air pump that supply air in the panel. Now, again, we looked at price comparisons between systems. Your cheaper ones, and there's many of them. There's red ones and brown ones and all sorts of different ones. Green tank ones and whatever. None of them have a panel that monitors the system. So you don't know if the system is working well. That panel costs about $20,000 with everything that's inside. But you know your system is working, you can monitor it, and even if you go to municipality, you can add a GSM, and you can add a municipal guy, whether he's going to look at it or not, doesn't matter. If they want the control, you add his number to the GSM, and every time there's an alarm, you as the service contractor, you as the owner, and you as the municipality are all notified at the same time that there's a problem. And this guy can send you a WhatsApp and say, listen, the problem is solved. Nobody else offers that as a standard. It adds to the price, but it adds to the quality, it adds to your peace of mind.
What does GSM stand for?
GSM is a device wat jy op die paneel sit, uit 'n SIM-kaart in, en die alarm wat op die paneel optel, stuur jy vir jou deur die GSM-netwerk, jou selfoonnetwerk.
Yes, okay, so dis net 'n kommunikasie device.
Dis 'n kommunikasie device. Jy kan dit ook na BMS te vat, die Building Management System. Ons het sites waar ons daai, kyk, this panel puts out a 12-volt dry signal. We are busy with cloud stuff and so forth with Ashton at the moment. But it gives you a 12-volt dry contact signal out. So in any other system, a BMS or wherever, you take that 12-volt signal into the BMS and you can link this into your BMS or GSM or whatever remote monitoring you need.
Okay.
Why? There's a reason why I'm not going PLCs, because we work in Africa. Very few people in Africa understand PLCs. It's as simple as that. But you can still digitize. Okay. So that's very important. This is already part of your plant cost. Don't try and take it out, because then you're going to have a zillion other things to do on site to get this thing to work. But it does make a difference. And I'm going to tell you this. I don't want to on camera now start playing with brand names here, because soon I'll be in court. But I was at a hardware place last year. Put a fusion down there for display for the day. And the manager came to me and he said to me, okay, tell me how this thing works. And I started explaining, and before I got to my second sentence, he said to me, how much does it cost? I said to him, 120,000. Why is it so expensive? Those guys were here the other day, their system was 80,000. I said to him, okay. Their system. Stage 1, this is what they do. So yeah, it's the same as the fusion. Okay. Stage 2, this is what they do. Yeah. So the fusion has this, but we have the balls in there that create a lot of bacteria growth area to enhance the process. They don't. Oh, okay. Stage 3, they do aeration. Yes, we also do aeration. But we have the media that create this amount of surface area for bacteria. They don't. Okay, that's interesting. I said, then from stage 3, they discharge. Yes, that's true. So now they take all the nitrates you've got here and you discharge it to the environment. You take all the phosphates, you discharge it to the environment. So now we have stage 4. Stage 4, we take the nitrates from here, we put it back to the head of the tank. So we break down the nitrates. Oh, that's nice. Right. That's a legal requirement, by the way. Stage 5, they desludge every 6 to 12 months. You've got to bring in a honeysucker, by the honeysucker, get out the sludge. Stage 5, we take the sludge, automatic, all done by the panel. You pick up the sludge, you take it back to the head of the tank, and you go through the process again.
So clean the sludge automatically?
So-
Rather than to clean it up?
Yeah.
Process of the sludge.
So now, I said, but now keep in mind, a lot of your customers are, have got holiday houses. I said, yes. I said, now this other system, if there's nobody in the holiday house, you've got 2 weeks and the bacteria start dying because there's nothing coming in. Yeah, that's true. I said, well, this thing takes its own sludge and feed the inlet twice a day. So this thing can go for up to 6 months with nobody in the house and still have a healthy biomass. The other systems can't, none of them can. I said, but then we have stage 6, it's a clarifier built into the system that settle out to suspended solids before we discharge. The other guys don't have this, no, they don't. So why the hell are they charging that much for that piece of shit?
Did you say any?
There's a couple of quotes out there, but that's for new builds. But him, it only does fusion. I've been scolded by him, and Annelien and I were there subsequent. He introduced us to a plumber that he wants to do the installations. And I had to explain to the plumber. And this guy interjected, what, 2, 3, 4 times? And he said to me, wait, you're selling yourself short here. Listen, this is... Oscar, he scolded me. You're selling yourself short here. One of the things he said to the plumber, this guy's anal about quality.
Yeah, it's really true, Sheriff, because I think one of your selling points is the fact that you can denitrify, because I know of the other systems, and it's like every week or every 2 weeks they need to do some sort of maintenance to the smell that it's bad. And the customer ends up spending more on maintenance
Then on the plant.
than on the plant.
So that's where we're coming, that's our going. That's our game. And I'll show you that now coming up. I can also show you an email that the customer sent to me last year, August. 2 years ago we pitched the fusion to him. He lives somewhere in Mpumalanga, but he's got an operation in Cape Town, that's where we pitched the fusion to him. So in August last year I got an email about Blue Lagoon stuff, and the email said, one last question, what chemicals do you put into your plant? Because the one that my builder installed, now listen, he's putting it out there, the one that my builder installed has got a very bad odor and my neighbor is complaining about it. Now we don't put any disinfectants down, we don't put any of this down, or we don't put any of that down. We put starters in 6 months ago, we're putting the starters in again now. I replied to him, I said to him, sir, we don't put in any chemicals, because the system takes care of itself. I said, but if you bought one of these, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, unfortunately I need to tell you that the bad odor is part of the purchase price. He didn't respond. I guess he bought one of those ones.
Unlucky.
Okay.
I wanted to ask.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. I know you mentioned the 3 main components, but is there any installation where you had to install a screen?
We have many. Many. The only place we don't install a screen is at a private residence. Other than that, we always do a screen, so that's the only thing the customer needs to do is clean the screen. But I mean, talking about the plant itself, they don't have to do anything. But yeah, screens we do clean. There's one in the back of my bucket, you can see what it looks like. I'm going to show you over lunch.
Is that the race screen that you saw yesterday?
No. Yeah, the race screen is on the right. Okay. So these are stages that I explained to that guy. I'm not going through it again. Now you have an idea. Most of your cheap plants stop there. In fact, the one that we get the most competition for 80,000 has step 1 and step 3. That's it. You lost 2 sales to them now.
Why? Because it's... But they raise the same function.
Not nearly the same function. machine.
The owner is a marketer. Like she can sell. But then when it comes to doing the job,
So you buying her stuff as well?
no, I'm not buying it.
Girl, you can't be cryptic. We'll edit it out. Just tell us, stop being... Who are we talking about?
We're not mixing.
Calcimite.
Ah, okay.
Calcimite,
Also, the fancy septic tank.
the fancy septic
And
tank.
Kakaya as
That's what
well.
it is. Calcimite is a septic tank with aeration.
Kakaya.
Kakao as well.
Yes. It's that
The
bad.
Georgia tank manufacturer.
Kakaya doesn't even have a dehumidification system. And Zevenbach is failing.
No, you must listen to Kakao. They say, unfortunately, the solid waste is right next to the wastewater treatment plant, so because of the solid waste, there's always a bad odor hanging around there. I'm serious. What? I'm
And
serious.
it's a shopping complex. It smells so bad.
But isn't it like, I thought it's just an anaerobic, more like an anaerobic.
No,
Ask
that's got something
Sarah,
else
he
to
has
do.
studied that system very well. He'll tell you what's missing in it.
Now, if you look at another one that's marketing big time is Big Red. Big Red goes up to step 3 without media. Okay, then now I see, but the problem with what I have with them is they have a visual of how the system works, and then they have text, and the two don't talk to each other. The text can describe a completely different process than what the visual shows you, so I don't know which one they have.
Wow.
That's got to come out of the video. I don't want to end up in court with these guys.
I'm
but-
Stop facing the other one.
This is a spy.
Sorry?
Say, stop facing the other way.
So, but that's what we are not the cheapest
No.
on capital. We are the cheapest on operating cost, yes. And we give you the 6th step, excluding disinfection, including disinfection 7, but give you a 6-step process. The closest the other small plant guys come is 3 of the 6. That's how simple it is.
So my question is, those 2 plants that we offered them this weekend, okay, that's just the plant. If they say they want the plant, we've already put in the supervision, we haven't put in the installation, we said oversight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you still have to put together a service level agreement for them to go up there and maintain whenever they need it? Or are we going to go up and train my local content?
Train your local
Local
content,
content
to do that. That's the whole idea. That's our business model. We want to create a world where the systems go. If your local content has a problem, we can video call. If that doesn't help, we can send somebody out. But
No, but it
we
also
want the
creates job
local.
opportunity. Because
Exactly.
that's the thing for local functions up there.
Exactly.
It's job opportunity. I mean, that was my question to you. You said to me it will take them 2 days to install. Remember, these are not clever people installing and have all these people running.
Yeah, but that's
It
an
could
option.
take them longer than 2 days.
And if it takes longer, this is the rate.
Well, that's what we put in, yeah.
Sure, it won't take
On it, not use it. If you grab
The
it,
guys
out
that
our store,
if
they
you
put it
done
in
it
there.
Underground.
if everything is ready,
But if you
drop
put,
it to
if
place,
you pump
the
this
connecting
onto
up
the
and
tank,
getting it
then
running.
put the UV
Yeah,
underground.
it's-
Yeah, small plant you can do it at
It's
that.
a septic tank with aeration.
But my next question to you is, if we do sell this,
Calcimite,
okay,
yeah.
is there anything from their government or anything that we need to get approval on to have it installed?
I don't think Botswana could.
and,
Ghana, I don't think so, because but you can check. Ask
Because
the
that
guys
wasn't
to
one of the
check.
questions that
But
I
you
picked that up
exclude-
now.
you
That wasn't
exclude
something
legal
that I actually
obligations.
said to them, you know, you do need to get permissions for this.
You exclude legal obligations, environmental impact studies, etc. from the quote. That's their
That's
responsibility.
it.
Yeah.
You cannot take responsibility for
No.
that.
And generally on the mines, then
No, this is
the
a building.
professional, the engineer will take that.
This is a
Yeah.
building that was looking for.
But I think the fact that they already asked for
Well, they
some
did,
type of
yes.
plant, they
Yes,
probably
they did.
tick
They
those
gave-
boxes
they gave
anyway.
us, the crappier plant.
Don't worry about it.
All right, let's get going before lunch. I want to finish this one before lunch quickly. For the architects that have scolded me up until this point in Bloemfontein, I said to them, okay, now is your turn. Getting to the pretty stuff. This building is a Cape Town CBD. You can see what it looks like, high density CBD. and these little quad there. Do you guys and ladies, some of you know the answer, you've seen it before, so shut up the other ones that hasn't seen it before. Would you normally think of installing a wastewater treatment plant in a setup like that?
No.
No, because they smell it.
Inside that quad, that tree is what's taken out. Inside that quad, right next to the ballroom, we've got 4 plants in. Why 4 plants? Wat?
Jy staan voor ons.
Ja, maar jy het al gesien, wat is die
Ja, maar hy het nie.
Ja, hy het in Durban. In Malika. Maar onthou het nie.
Ja, maar dit is nou sy.
Like nie oor die tyd. So, binne in daai quad, langs die bordroom, dit is 4 plants, en ons moes 4 klein plants in skoos die plant into the building. And since 2019, we flushed the toilets with a treated effluent. 50% reduction in the bottled water demand.
Wow.
Imagine if we can do 50% reduction on every commercial building in the country.
Sure.
We solve our water problem. Like Standard Bank said yesterday, they helped solve our energy problem because they funded so many energy systems. If we can get commercial properties to take 50% off their water consumption, not 100%, just 50%, we solve our water problem. Right? Okay. Next one. This Christian here, that's the owner. That was effluent quality. Sometime I was there for a checkup. So you put a false rock to cover the air pump, and that's what the system on the palm looks like. Okay. One on the left is Arno's installation. It's in Kempton Park, a commercial building. They pushed back the parking a little bit to fit the plant in there. Pushed the parking back 2.5 meters. If they didn't have the space, they could cast the slab and then park on top. And to the right hand side, Barlow, Caterpillar and Maputo, you can see right next to the parking in the walkway. Francis?
Just one question, is the ground stable enough if heavy equipment is riding in?
Now, if you do heavy equipment that's going to drive over it, you cast the
No,
slab.
not over it, I mean next to it.
It's
2 meters from it.
Well, that will depend on side to side. Some places the ground may not be stable and you have to stabilize your back.
I mean for the cars it's fine there, but
Yeah.
if there's a truck turning or something there.
It depends on your local soil conditions. Okay, that's hospitality industry. That's private houses, right below the guy's bedroom window. This one I've got to tell you the story. So one guy was servicing this plant. It was in a year. They had a 3-year-old daughter hanging around there. And she saw what was happening when they opened the covers, and she looked at her mother and she said, "Mama! Julle speel ons al die hele jaar lank hierdie poef en jy sê niks. Sis!" That was her first experience that she knew she was near fusion system. Sources fly. They plant trees with the treated effluent in the desert. I'm going to tell you this. I want to talk about the customers happy or not. They bought their first fusion in 2016, they installed it and said they wanted their life or to buy another fusion. I drove up there meeting with the CEO and I said to him, "Karl-Heinz, what's the problem?" He said, "I can't pay 400,000 rand for a plant of 4 million to install it." I said, "You're not serious?" He said, "No, I'm very serious. Because I love the plant, it's a great plant, but I can't afford to spend 4 million on installation."
What?
So I said to him, "But how do you get to that figure?" The long and short is his engineer said that the plant is going to be 500 meters away from the nearest building because all wastewater plants stink. And I said to him, "Don't do that, it'll be close." But he didn't want to listen. It's flat. 500 meters at a 1 to 60 drop, think where you come out.
Going to be a little bit deep.
A little bit deep. I said to him, well, then we've got to put in lifting stations. No, he's not pumping. It's got to be gravity. That's the engineer. I'm not the engineer. I can advise him, but I don't make the calls. Nou, dit is 'n kalkbank. Dan moet dan kalk grawe. They used a 40-ton excavator. They built at filling station purchase price R1 million of diesel on digging that hole.
One carbon footprint rent.
Then they installed the fusion somewhere near Australia and they built up the hole on the sides. And I said to him, your installation problem, sir, is your cost, is your engineer. I've never, to date, it's still the most expensive installation that I know of. It's much more than the 7 plants you installed in KZN. In fact, it's 10 times the price that of the installation in KZN. So he said, okay, I like the plant, I'll buy another plant, but then you and I talk. I don't want an engineer involved. That was 2016. Fast forward, January 2026, I got a message from his tricee. Hallo Martin, hoeveel kost je het je 15.000 liter plant in voorraad? Ek sê vir hom, nee, maar ek kan vir een bou. Stuur my vir 'n prys. Ok, nou bel ek hom, dis 8 uur die aand. Bel ek hom. Ek wil nie met jou praat nie. Ek sê, kom stuur my 'n boodskap. En hy sê, luister nie, ek soek nou 'n plant redelik dringend. Ok, dis fyn, stuur my 'n prys. Hy sê, maar as ek 2 vat, gaan my 'n bietjie beter prys gee. So the next day they paid me for plant number 7 and 8. 7 and 8. They do their own installations because they're now familiar with it. They don't ask for prices anywhere else because they know their work. They just place another order. That's where we want to be because that's customer happiness. Then that would put them in the number 1 position for number of plants in Namibia for one customer. Then another lodge who had 3 of our systems phoned me and said, come chat to us. Got up there, they said, okay, we need 2 here, we need 1 there, they said, ordered another 9. The nice thing is, again, they started off with 1 plant in 2017. They now have then another 2, then 3, then 3 more, and there's another 3 to come. But that's the lekker thing. And the same lodge is funding community projects and using fusions there at the schools. Okay. Here is school Bloemfontein, where his mother is the big boss. They bought 2 plants in 2017 for a school of less than 600 learners. The treated effluent goes through this lifting station, which is there. There is your pre-screen Nora, gangway.
Oh, yeah.
And we built a splitter in it, a gravity splitter that split to the 2 plants. And there's the panels. And then we pump up to those tanks. There's UV, there's chlorine. We do both chlorine and UV because this goes into contact with the children because they use it for sports fields education. From here it goes to those tanks and then out to the sports fields. What I will do different now, the UV is here. If I have to do it now, I will put the UV there just before it goes out to the sports field so we don't get recontamination. Okay.
And you have a conservancy tank before the
Yeah, they've got an old conservancy tank sitting here.
Yeah.
Everything gravity flows into that and then we pump out of the conservancy tank. So the existing conservancy tank that they had, that the Hanisaki used to empty, we're using that as a lifting station so that's not wasted.
Also, a staging tank as well, just to, if the demand increases.
Yeah. But what didn't happen is the school grew from below 600 to above 800 learners. So these 2 plants didn't cope anymore. So what we do now, take it out, do it over. High corner. What we do is we add number 3. The guy who added number 3 is sitting there. But you see how it's all coming into play here. And if they were to go above 900, we put in number 4. By the way, with one of those two, they lowered them into the hole with the till beam. When you put the second one in, the ground gave way under the till beam and the till beam tipped over, falling with its backhand onto the fusion. So I got a call from Roomfontein. Listen, the soil gave way. Our TLB is resting on top of your fusion. So you've got another TLB to take it out. I said, okay, what's the damage? I'm preparing now to go up and fix this thing. I said, no, we just need another cover and the ring. The rest of the plant is fine.
Is there a concrete base there on that?
Yeah. Small plants, not necessary, but big ones, yes. Remember you're putting 25 tons on that base?
Yeah, no, that's all. That's all.
Okay, these two plants have been moved since, but you can see above ground installations. That's the American International School Maputo, half dug in, and this one is also, both of these are honors installations. This one is in Mpumalanga. But again, it's rock, because and they made it ready in whatever else. In KZN, another installation from our solar friend there. Dennis, wie sit Jose, hy sê ons op die solar panel.
Well, my name is Bifail.
So what we have here is that village there, the existing village, they have their own treatment plant. The guys are not happy with it. So there's a new shopping center coming up here. We installed fusions for that. And this job, by the way, came from the Curio Bloemfontein job as Sustained Engineers. They were happy with us happening at Curio, so they recommended this for this job, and they're recommending it to a few other guys as well. But imagine, with all these hills and valleys in Natal, how do you get all that sewage into one place? So fusion is perfect for decentralizing even within the development. So there's our shopping center. These are 7 fusions installed. Neat, isn't it? The latter thing, think of environmental impact. You have 7 plants running. Should one fail, you still have 6 going. You don't have one component failing and the entire system is off. So from an environmental impact and risk management point of view, that's beautiful. And you can expand that anytime you just add. That one's already prepared for plant number 8. Because the shopping center is not built yet. There's a theoretical calculation of flow. Should that flow change, we just drop in one more. Katima Molino in the middle of town. They don't have wastewater capacity. They build gap housing. And it's all done in phases. Those phases are still to come. These phases, that was done first, and then these 2 phases drain to this orange area here. Those phases will drain to other areas, otherwise it goes too deep, it's black area. So there's phase 1A, B and C, and that's what they look like in real life. Okay. And then just around the corner, I'm not sure we're going to have time, but I want to try and stop at this plant on the way out. It's neat. Next to the one on our way out. Those that don't fly, we can definitely stop there. Those who fly, we'll see if time allows to stop at the plant quickly. The nice thing of this one, we're talking about zero waste, is this site got 2 fusions in 2017, 18 somewhere. The plan was to add another 2 later when the rest of the site is developed. Then the rest of the site was developed a little bit different from the original plan. And it turned out to a 50,000 square meter mixed use property. So instead of putting 4 fusions there, we now needed 19 of them.
Yes. Yeah.
Again, no money wasted. Talking about ESG, sustainability. That's the engineer's design. The original two, we took them out because they were now standing in the wrong position. We had to fit them into a very small space because that is the area allocated for the sewage, the servitude. We had to encroach on the servitude. Nobody's going to use that anyway, that's a simple triangle, but that's the only way we could fit it in. We had to encroach a little bit on that servitude there. So we had to reposition to make things work. So we took out the original two. We put them back as part of the bigger package. Now I can show you, that's not on here, I can show you photos now of the complete installation. Again, we can do that with the update when we do the extension for the CPD. All 19 are not there yet in this photo, but they are all installed now. Campsite, you're sleeping right next to your pool. Nice and warm and cozy. Kangaroo bays. So all the wastewater drops down to there, they pump it up through the black pipe there, goes to the plant, from there the effluent goes up on the mountain, they irrigate and they flush the toilets on the third floor.
The case study that was done by
That was the case study done by Dr. Mpofu. That's the one. That plant was installed 2019. To date, they do their own maintenance. To date, they had to replace one relay because of a boom got hold of a cable and back on the cable. Yeah.
Ik ben niet op een surprise.
Yeah. That was on 12 lines. So.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But that's it. I said when to replace the diaphragms, it's more than 4 years. Otherwise, you can replace the air pumps eventually. But that's what they did since 2019 is to replace the relay. Really difficult places to access? We can do. First of all, you needed a 4x4 to get to that point. Then we offloaded there, and I took that 4x4 around up onto the mountain. You can't see it from here, but the winch cable is coming over this rock here, and we winched that thing into place.
Those are a bit tougher than plastic ones.
A little bit tougher than the plastic ones, I would think, yes. You know what? The best of all is we had to go and take it out again.
Wow.
Because the next door neighbor, they wanted to put up one of these, I almost want to say healing sites, like a campsite, but your nature living, coming back into contact with your soul kind of sites.
Yes.
And they didn't do official application for the site and that stuff. And just across the valley there's a neighbor there who said, but he doesn't want to see this site, he don't want to see a campsite there. Nobody applied, take it down. So they just moved it to another spot on the farm. But
wow.
we had all the difficulty getting it there, just to go and collect it.
Where was this?
Cedarburg. For a look at Nature Reserve, you can see the plant there. Now look at this, this is where all the extras come into play. You have the plant, you have the pre-screen there, the black box, Nora. You have your UVs here, you have your lifting station there. That's what I know now, put the UVs above ground. You have the UVs here in the chamber like this, you have your lifting station, this baby here. Inside the lifting station you have a Zoller pump pumping up. That Zoller pump has got one of these check valves that don't clog. Then it goes into the tank, you have an additional air pump that aerates inside the tank. Then from there it is pumped through two city pump MS-10s with two VSDs going through a bag filter and irrigation filter, and they add chlorine as a residual disinfectant because they use it to flush the toilets and irrigate the gardens around the accommodation. But you can see what we did yesterday will come into play in project phase now.
You give a full turnkey solution and not just suppliers in a pre-plant.
Exactly. The Hope Nature Reserve on the Whale Trail, they've got 3 of them, they now want another 2. They're running 100% off solar. That's a wind farm. That's a construction site at the wind farm. So at the end of construction, they empty this thing, pick it up and they move it to the next town. They buy it once, they move it from side to side to side. So how long do you think these things last?
As long as you look after it.
Yeah, I'm going to say forever.
I don't know.
Don't you guarantee on
Haven't
the
found out yet.
18 months?
I think we can make it longer.
Doesn't go to that.
That was the first one installed in South Africa. Look at the high water conditions there. That one is in the ground from August 2010 up until 2024. Then the guy decided he's moving that house. So they took it out. But the guy took it out, broke off the fittings, he broke the cage inside, he ripped off that extension ring, causing damage to the plant. By the way, these were the imported ones. They didn't have a barrier coat. The local ones we do get a barrier coat not to have that degrading of the plant with us. So the guy sent it to us. 20,000 rand later, that's what it looked like. Broken parts replaced, air pipes mended, barrier coat on, it's been back on the side. After 15 years.
And it wasn't even like mechanical failure, it was purely user
It was using
error.
Then during the Delta, somebody did modifications, they thought they were going to improve the fusion, obviously it didn't work. But again, that was installed in 2012. 2024, they got a new concession for another 15 years. But in the Delta, you're not allowed to do concrete, unless just in the workshop area. So everything is thatch, and that's grass thatch, not reed thatch. You guys in the Transvaal won't know the difference anyway. After your concession, you now rebuild for the next phase of the concession. So you take down whatever you built and you rebuild, but it's all with dump poles and thatch and so forth. So you can take it out and leave no footprint. But with the new layout of the lodge, the plant was now in the way. The plant's got to move. So the guy who did the lodge building, he pumped the plant down. He moved the plant to repair that funny alterations that did cost $10,000. Okay, I don't have the pretty photo here, but there's a pretty photo after this where he took a ton of paint and painted the plant back to the original color, and it's looking beautiful and doing the job. After being in service since 2012, relocated 2024 back into operation.
4,000.
No, that's 2,000. So the Impulse Foundation, they were looking for 1,000 efficient solutions that were already at commercial scale, not development scale. They've got 2 labels, of which the Fusion is one. They started off only doing solar and then later on added water. As of 2021, we've got the Solar Impulse label, which I think 1 of 2 in Africa, I don't think is too bad. They invited us to COP27, all expenses paid, to come and present our solution. Africa Invest in 2017 said Water Deal of the Year. And Wayland Guardian, that was what, 2023, I think. Environmental Heroes, Moscow Water and Ocean Initiatives. But just people that recognize what we did. My network, you know that works, I don't have to tell you that. Well, that is on stuff. Confusions and egghead. That's a lack of conversation. Alright, we're going to touch on the installation quickly. This is the small ones, the big one. Your site preparation, your drop-in and stuff is the same. It's on the start off, that's a little bit different. Okay, so I'm not sure, I don't think we're going to do both. I think it's a waste of time. We can take you through the bigger ones when the time is there. When you do the install, like with Jonas, you will opstart and right here, start and opstart. Okay. So the first thing you need to do is deliver it to site. That's what the American install does. If you don't deliver it to site, it's a little bit difficult to install. Okay, very good that one.
It's a good job they taught you that.
Yeah.
Otherwise you would have made a
It would have been a hell of a line there in the next one.
That's why, ken jy Bobby?
I like familiar, yeah. But they need help with it.
Dis myne.
Ja, dit is 200,000 kilos opmaak. Net. Okay, then you dig the hole for the thing to go in. Doesn't lekker work so like you put it on top and try to hammer it down. So what you try to do is always add half a meter on all four sides so that you can get in there to backfill. Otherwise, it's because you want to get around it for the backfilling. On the smaller plants, there's a few ways of doing this. You can do gravel, just to level out the base. But if it's stable soil, what I always say, not to bring in materials and so forth, you dig with your excavator or TLB to about that much from where you want to be. And that last bit, you take a pick and shovel and just shave it off so that your hole is perfectly level. You can drop it in. That's if your soil is stable, like a clay soil or something like that. If it's unstable, in the hilly area, don't do that. So the main thing is you must be level. This is the installation. I'll be yellow, Chris. Now, gravel pad, or sorry, there's nothing else in English. Skip, okay. Well, you will see these guys have got nice round gravel. I try to stay away from gravel because like the building stone we have got sharp edges, so I'm trying to not go there. If I do, I'll do a little bit of a sand cement blinding. As you listen. Now we say on the big plants you do about 150 millimeter slab. Now you get to Dr. Low topic. En hy sê, my fucking plant gaan nooit styf nie. I don't know if you can see from the back there, but the concrete is that far from the top of that guy's boots.
What? Ja. My pa se slaap aan om dit te oordoen.
We're doing it with everything.
Yeah,
future archaeologists will find this.
that slab there, you can build a whole story on that, or even more. Okay, this one is in Douglas. You see how they're lowering it in. The small one, we take 6 people with belts and you can drop it down that way as well. There's Asmong's ovens, the high oven, the Asmong, and the others. Make sure the thing is level. This is 95% of your installation. Make sure the plant is level. Because if we go through the entire process inside, which we haven't done now, you have inflow here, you have gravity flow towards the outflow side. Then you have airlift. We don't have pumps in the system. We have airlift, and your return for denitrification and your sludge return is on a gravity flow this way. So you've got a flow path in opposite directions in the plant. If it's not level, either of those are not going to work. What do you do then? Take it out and begin again. Start over. Then if you look on the length, there is a left and right. If it is not level left to right and the plant stands like that, there is more water on this side than on that side in relation to the floor of the plant. But then your air lines are also running like this. So the air lines that are up there have less water pressure and all the air goes that way, and the ones at the bottom struggle because there's more pressure on them. So 95% of your installation, make sure, I don't like doing it over the top like the guys have done there, must actually do new pictures. There's a rib on the side where the hooks are to lift it. Put your spirit level on there. Make sure it's that way and this way, the level. We've had plants that had to be removed. I got to Stellenbosch on the site for commissioning, and I couldn't get the return lines to work because the plant was like that.
But that's got to be quite heavily off level.
You're not within spec. You're going out of your lines to put it that way. I said, what now? I said, oh, we've got to take the plant out. Now I had the builder fighting with the plumber and the plumber fighting with the builder because the builder did the slab and the plumber did the installation, and the builder said the plumber should have checked and the plumber said the builder should have cast the slab level. I said, guys, moer mekaar op it's not my fight. Get it level, then we can talk.
So you're pouring concrete without reinforcement?
Sorry?
So you're just pouring concrete without reinforcement on unstable soil?
Yeah, that's it.
And that's fine?
That's fine.
It's very small.
150 with mesh.
Will you do that on dolomite?
On dolomite you'll probably go a little bit wider and maybe a little bit thicker.
And does it give any issue over time? With the shifting of the ground?
Well, if you've got, I mean, like that, like the highways you had collapsing there, I mean, nothing's, you had houses falling in, we can't prevent that from happening.
We're using Ref 193 mesh. I mean, that's pretty strong.
On the small ones we don't put mesh in, but on the big ones, because the big one weighs 25 tons. Yeah, it's like that with exercise.
What is the weight once it's operational?
The small one is about 2.5 tons and going up to about 25 on the
So if
big
you're
one.
putting a 5,000 litre Jojo, you're doing the same basic,
Doing the same.
same extent.
Yeah. Alright, anchor hooks are optional. Dis ook Chris installasie. Anchor hooks vir high groundwater table, ek dink daar is dit oordoen het as jy nodig het. Die grondwater is so. Maar rather safe than sorry. But I can tell you the little problems that I had. I've had a few plants that popped. Every single plant that popped during installation because people don't use this. You put the plant down. You can anchor it if you like. Then fill all chambers with water before you do anything else. There's a few reasons for that. The one is we had about 4 out of 400 where people put forks through the tank. So then you can see it's leaking, then you fix it. The other thing is if it's full of water, just check the levels again, make sure it didn't move anyway. And now it's stable when you backfill. Otherwise you've got an empty tank there, you start backfilling and the backfill actually destabilizes the tank. So there's a few reasons why you first fill with water. The ones that popped, none of them had water in. In Franschhoek we had a case. Again, the engineer is more clever than the guy who built the stuff. You know that? So he wanted the plant almost in Australia, 4.5 meters down, because it doesn't want to pump. I said, forget about this, put a pump in. No, he wants the plant down there. My last email to him in May was, I do not recommend that you install it this way. Didn't hear back from him. In November I got a call, there's a problem with the plant in Franschhoek. Got to come out to site. I got there. was that side. He said, okay, so what am I doing? I said to the engineer, I told you, I did not recommend you install it this way. Yes, but you didn't say it's impossible. He had the whole 4.5 meters down. His idea was to do a chamber, but cast it, concrete. Then cast a slab over the plant. Then you go up with the walls. Then you cast another slab, so you climb inside and you walk on the plant to service it. Now I have a problem with that. There's one or two that you guys have done like that, but you had no choice because it's under the driveway. But in general, I have a problem with that because you have methane gas building up in that area. So when you service there, you're going to be damn sure that at least you have 2 people, one outside, one inside, and have all the right masks and shit. So I don't like that. But he put the plant down there, but now they're running out of time on the project. So instead of doing concrete walling, they did brick and mortar. Then they made the plinth too small, so the walls are too close to the plant. They couldn't get in down to anchor this onto the slab. So they put anchor bolts into the wall side. That was Wednesday. Friday, they built the walls up on Wednesday. Friday, the builders went home for the weekend and switched off their dewatering pump. This hole is 4.5 meters deep. Plus minus 4 meters that way, there's a mountain stream. That thing is obviously, it's just running on the surface. The mountain stream doesn't have any water below that. It's absolutely 100% sealed, just surface water.
As they are.
So they got to site Monday morning. The fusion pulled the walls in and decided, I'm Noah's Ark, I'm going. He first played Samson, pulled the walls in, and then up. I said, so what am I doing? You installed this the way I told you not to, so what am I doing? The nice part is there's no damage to the fusion.
That's crazy, all that
That's
force.
such a slap in the face, dude, for the engineer. What a word.
We had another one in Nigeria. Again, I said, because they don't sand, but it's like if you go this deep, you're in the water, and it's sand. So I said to him, cast a slab at least a meter on each side because of the sand, that's floating. The slab was the size of the plant, got the plant into the hole, and they started filling. Now on that unstable soil, I would fill the middle chamber first and let it overflow to the sides. They started on the inlet side, they filled the inlet side, and now it was time to go home. So off we go. They come back the next morning, one side is heavy, one side is light. The fusion was anchored onto the slab, so the whole slab at the little things, just follow the instructions. You won't have those problems. I've never had one that's in operation that popped. I've never had one that is backfilled and popped. They were all open holes, and guys didn't listen. Here in Boston, in Malmesbury, we had a site, again instructions, didn't follow the instructions, put the tanks down, didn't fill them. We got a rainstorm, they floated. But now you have mud coming in because the entire site is draining down towards the fusions. So I had them there, they were trying to tilt it this way and tilt it that way. I said, guys, forget about it. Take them out, clean off the slab, put them back, and fill them with water. No, we learned our lesson, A week later we had another thunderstorm and they floated again. So, but that's important. Your water filling with water is so you check your levels, it didn't move. Check leakages, and then it doesn't move when you're back. Simple as that. Okay. You can add risers. Please, 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 besides the cost of the risers. That guy shows 3, I don't like 3 to start off with. What you must remember, inside the plant there are pipes and valves that you need to get to service this thing. Now how many risers do you want to add? How long can your arm be? Or you're going to go down the head first? That's what it is.
Are you in Matsikama?
I'm in Matsikama, that one, Matsikama regional landfill site. To get to anything, I have to lie flat on my tummy and then reach with everything I have. You go with your head in there. It's too much. Then put it in a lifting station. Because it becomes a nightmare to maintain that thing. And the problem is, that's the engineer. Because the building is here and the plant is just over there. But he started his pipe about a meter below the soil at the building. So be careful of that. I had one case where I was on the site and they had to take something out of the fusion. Stuff that got in there. And they couldn't reach and I was busy here and I turned around and the site foreman had his handyman, his sidekick, took him by the feet. And the foreman's a big guy, big closer guy. He was standing like that. He had the chap by the feet and he lowered him into the fusion head first. What you want? Pull him out. So yeah, it's I've seen something. The other thing is we've got a grease trap now that also the fusion shop. And the guy said to me, okay, we don't need to get in there for servicing the grease trap. You can obviously, at any height, you can suck out the grease. I said to him, yeah, that's fine. But keep in mind on the footprint and the depth that you have this thing now with the chimneys you're putting up there. You're putting 7.5 tons of soil on top of a fiberglass tank. Think about it. That's on a 450 size. Putting 7.5 tons of soil on top of that tank. At some point, the fiberglass is strong. We built them strong. We built them a lot stronger than the imported ones. We add more fiber. But at some point, even that's not. Don't get stupid about it. Okay, you fall back. Please do not use sand for backfill in a clay environment. Because when it rains, the water runs through the sand, it percolates through the sand, and where does it go then? So when you take out, you put back as long as there's no rocks in it. Okay. No organic matter because it will collapse over time. No large rocks or anything that can damage the system. You've got the inlet, you've got the outlet, you've got your 2 air lines coming in. You have the air pump with the 2 little T-offs there that goes up into the panel to monitor the air pressure in the lines. That's part of your alarm system to check if the system is working. On the air pump, port 1 is blue, port 2 is red on the rest of the panel and on the plant. So we put little stickers on top there. Make sure it's easy accessible, well ventilated, protected from damage, protected. Interesting, we had a case in Bloemfontein, but not Pietersheim. I was there with the commissioning, the plant was perfectly installed. We would have more than one case like that. Plant is perfectly installed, everything is running, everything is beautiful. And then I got a call, then a thunderstorm and the air pump was underwater. The landscaper came after the installer and added that much topsoil to the grass, which resulted the air pump standing in a ditch. And the rainstorm, all the water runs into the air pump. So just check out for that. It can handle rain from above, but it cannot be submerged. Stellenbosch we had the same. The guys on the mountain, they actually built a wall behind the fusion because there was a lot of run. They built a wall behind the fusion, the landscape that all the water from above ends up on top of the fusion and the UV channel. Okay, so now you go from the blower to the fusion, install your two air lines. Port 1 of the blower goes to blue and port 2 to red. So you're looking at the 20 ID pipe for the small ones, the bigger ones have got bigger pipes obviously. Try not to exceed 10 meters between the two. The longer your pipe run, the more friction you have in the air pipes, the less air you get into the system. If you have to go more than 10 meters, upsize your pipe by one size to reduce the friction in the pipe. Okay, now you mount the panel. So that gives you power to the blower. It monitors proper switching between aeration and backwash. It monitors the pressures of pressure in the air lines. But now, and also high water alarm in the fusion, we've now added a few features. Our panel is a lot more advanced than the US panels we used to get. Important, the panels are built into IP65 boxes, so they can stand outside. Some people try to put them in a kiosk or something. You can't see if there's an alarm. So you can't put them outside. That's what the panel looks like on the inside. Those little pipes that you see coming off the cheese, those little 5mm pipes, they will go onto those air switches there. Blue on port 1, red on port 2. And that will correspond in the plant on the blue line with the blue valve and the line with the red valve. Okay? There's your high level fusion coming in, high level pre-screen coming in. That's the power supply to the air pump, and that is the power supply to the UV. So it's all pre-wired, it's a plug and play system. Now this, none of the other guys have. So they supply you the plant for 80,000, but you've got to get an electrician to do this. You see what the guys do is a lot of the cost they push onto somebody else. They will quote an installation price, but it excludes civils, so that goes under the civils bill, not under the plant bill. They will supply the plant, but there's got to be an electrician doing this. So the electrician builds a panel, he gets paid for it, but it's not part of the plant cost. So it's a cost to the customer, but they hide it in other places to make their system look cheaper. Because the air pumps also need to get power. If they have a UV or whatever, they also need to have power. If they have to have a pump, the pump needs power. And they've got no alarms. But if they do want to build something like that, the Sparky's got to build it, and that Sparky's going to charge a hell of a big, with us it's a production item. That Sparky's going to purpose build it on site, what's the cost going to be? But they hide it in other places, so be careful when you quote and look out for those things. Those hidden costs that they push onto different parts of the build. And we've seen plants like that, where part of the plant is, for instance, concrete. Then the concrete works of the plant is pushed into the civils bill. So the plant looks very cheap. You've got to take that out of the civils bill because you need those civils for the plant. And then you compare. Because with the fusion, the customer saves that, even though it's hidden in a different place, the customer saves that money. Okay. By the way, the plug there has no purpose for the plant. The plug is there for you as the contractor to use. Because often where the plant is, you don't have a plug in close vicinity. So the first thing you do is you mount your panel and you power up your panel. Then you've got a plug available for your use for installation and maintenance purposes. We get here and there, the guy plug a pump into it, that's not the purpose of it. And the plug is inside so that somebody else doesn't come plug his lawnmower in there and trip the system. Charge your phone. I'll be worried if your iPhone trips the system. Two things here, very important. You can see the pipes coming in there now. Very important two things. The alarm system is all on 12 volts, 12 volt DC. Because of the outputs we want to go into GSM and those things. There's an earth leakage here. Now this is the power supply for the alarm system, the 12 volt DC. There's an earth leakage. The alarm system is not on the earth leakage. So if a pump would fail and it would trip the earth leakage, the alarm system will still work and warn you. Otherwise the alarm system is worthless. So when it doesn't work is when all power is off. But because it's 12 volt, you can do a backup battery. And you can power your alarm with a normal 12 volt battery, 7.5 amp hour or something, little battery with that charger. So it's possible to, because then if you do that, you can even get a power fail alarm. Because the battery is there, it will send out there's no power coming in. So that's very important. But all of these things obviously add to cost. To build this panel costs money. But it adds to the quality and to peace of mind. It's like the guy said, no, but I don't really need that. Okay, so why does your car have safety belts and airbags? You don't really need that. So only in case of emergency. That's how it is. Okay. That's what the installation looked like. That's our first installation in South Africa. Ensure that your water runs away, don't collect around the covers. Those covers are not 100% watertight. So if you've got water standing above them, at a time you might get some seepage. Not a lot, but you will get some seepage. Okay, how do we start this baby? You'll see, we've talked about the blue line and the red line. See what I'm talking about. So you set your aeration, that valve to 50%. Set that one to 50%. Your grey reticulation valve, or recirculation valve is that one, 35%. Now you measure your recirculation rate, the head of the tank. Take a 1 liter jug, take a stopwatch, and see how long it takes to fill that jug. And that is very, very important. You'll get a little card, we've got an updated one on this now. When you've got a 450, it will take 29 to 45 seconds to fill 1 liter. So you've got to measure that. If your return rate is too fast, you get too much oxygen back into the first chamber and you start floating your sewage, you start creating a DAF unit. If you return too slow, you don't get enough denitrification, because then all the nitrates remain on the tail end of the plant. So what you do is you start with the factory settings. Then once you take your first water test, you can now see where your nitrates, ammonias are, and then one can do little adjustments, a little bit faster, a little bit slower to adjust for site conditions. Now again, this plant can adjust for site conditions. None of the other plants can adjust for site conditions. Like the one that Nora evaluated in Irene, they wanted high nitrates because they wanted that as fertilizer. Then you slow down the recirculation rate so you have high nitrates in your effluent. But if you go to a river, you don't want those high nitrates, then you're setting different. You can play with the system. You can't do it with any other plant on the market. I'm not saying this thing is fail-safe. I'm just saying you have a lot of toys here that you don't have in any other system. Okay? Right, find the plastic card, read it. That's normally with the cable tie inside the plant. You check your recirculation rate. I've taken a lot of these other things out on the new card, so it's easy to read. And now you go to your backwash valve, you set that to 40%. Check your backwash rate on the card, you measure that, and you go through the same again. very important, is when you adjust the valve, just give it a few seconds to equalize the flow rate. Don't adjust. You've got one guy adjusting and another guy measuring at the same time, because there's a bit of delay for the water to get to that side once you've done the adjustment. Just give it a few seconds so you can see that. And on the small one, that adjustment is very, very fine. On the bigger ones, it's a lot easier to do. Okay, now your timer setting on the blower, that we normally set it at the warehouse. If you do get one on site that is not set, I want to know about it, because then one of my guys didn't do his job. Okay, I'm not going to go through each and every setting now. That's literally a step-by-step photo slide, you can read it. Okay. Take off the screw, get inside the thing, and there's step-by-step, literally.
Whoa.
How to set up that paper. Okay. Now you're done. What you now need to do is what most people here do not do. Just follow my eyes, but don't look now. Dis waaroor Tanya jou verskriklik baie bel. Ek sal weer eens nie praat met niemand gesond. Because what's happening now is Arno Pieter, julle is wat al geïnstalleer het. Julle het al gehoor van die Water Partners Office. One of the purposes of the Water Partners Office, they want to get the message out there, and we need to help them. That listen, waste is not a new thing, because a lot of people think, oh, this is a new thing, how long is this going to last now? And they want to get the message out there, waste is not a new thing. But they also want to carry the message, look at these guys that's got success in the waste business. And they have sent us a spreadsheet, and we must complete the spreadsheet, because they want to know, there's 430 plants out there. Where are they? Okay, there's in Gauteng, there's in Mpumalanga, there's in Western Cape. Immediately, they make that information available in a reduced form to tell people, look at this. Fusion, am I right if I say Fusion is going to have the most plants on the list? Or am I wrong? But we can't get the list for them because we can't get our installation papers. We don't know where the plants are, especially om 3 is nummer 1, om 3 is nummer 2, om 3 is nummer 3. Ek sien dat om op bestaan te sê om 3 super 11. I mean, they bought 11 plants for stock, but I don't know where those plants went. So I can't complete the list, I can't get it to the Water Partners Office because your name appears there as installer on 60 plants, but I can't get your name on the list for 60 times because I don't have the information. Dis het 'n probeer snaaks wees nie, maar dis wat ons in die agtergrond probeer doen en nou kan mense sien Waterbeheer Technology het 60 by die goed ingesit. In daai area, dan kan ons vir Waterbeheer bel en sê gee my kwart. Dis die doel daarvan.
Ek het klaar kom op die los het.
Ek weet nie of dit right wat hier is, hè.
Check email.
Ja,
maar dit nie kos ek nie geweet word. Dus
maar dit is waarvoor daai goed belangrik is goed soos daai.
So do you get a data book of yours if you sell it to me?
Sorry?
And do you get a data book of yours if you sell it to me? Because that's what they're going to ask for. Operating manuals.
Operating manuals is the easy part. Alright, so before you leave site, do us a favor and just complete that form and get it off to us. Once every 6 months, when you do the service, there's a 2-page form that we complete with the service. Get it to us so we can see how things are going. And I can tell you now, monitoring is going to become more important. And now, up until now, there's been nobody from government checking that it's being monitored. But that is going to be. But again, one can see that as a problem, and you can see it as an opportunity. You can see it as an opportunity to show I'm complying and get more business that way. Show. Waar is die resultaat?
Ja.
You may what ek sê. Wanneer mense vra my, waar is die resultaat? She's one of those. Where's the results? She's one of those. She's busy with another project in the background that you don't know of. She sent me a list. Here's he's sitting with him. If you don't have the list yet, I'll give you permission to clap him. Because she's busy with one project, she's busy with another project, but that's getting the message out there about how many plants there are and where they are and what they're doing and how they're performing, and that's a marketing tool. Use it. Okay. Guys, we said we're going to finish at 3. I think we need to stop at the installation, not go through maintenance, because your maintenance is very much the same as the installation, except that you clean out your recirculation pipes and so forth with bottle brushes as well, and it's all in the slideshow like this. What I would like to do, jy weet jy of daai shuttle al hier so op is of nie?
Hulle kom 3 uur.
Kom hulle 3 uur?
Did you not have your ready?
Okay. So we want.
And I'll ask them to call you when they get to.
Okay, what I would like to do, if you agree, is we pack up and leave from here as early as possible now, so that we can do a quick stop at that plant where we've got the 19 plants in.
I won't join you for that.
Why not?
No, my driver, he's got 2 other trips still this afternoon.
But that's his problem, not mine.
Thanks, Michael.
So, but we just do, because it's on the way out. We just do a quick stop there. I couldn't get the key organized. I thought about it too late. I couldn't get the key organized to go onto to go into the plant room and stuff. There is a clear view fence around it, so we can stand outside the fence and check these. But just to get a bit of a visual, what does the plant look like at the shopping center? Now they decided they're going to gravel all around it, but you can landscape around it to be part of your green space of the shopping center, so you don't lose any square meter.
Gravel is nie.
Sê jy?
Sê die gravel is nie lekker.
Gravel is op die groen nie.
Ja, maar die gravel met die service en goeders is op 'n gat moet gaan sit en dan iets werk.
Sien. Ja, alles wat jy mors as ek wil.
Ja.
Nee, dat is wel. Baie baie.